Cole had figured it out a while ago. Serena wasn't some born-and-bred ice queen. She was just a straight-A student, a classic good girl who did what she was told. At school, her world was books and lectures, not small talk. But now it seemed like some latent talent was beginning to awaken. She was evolving from an untouchable goddess into a girl who used puppy dog eyes and cute emojis. And as everyone knows, that kind of cute is a weapon of mass destruction. But this was Cole, a guy with the soul of a 32-year-old veteran of life's battles. He wasn't going to be so easily conquered. I can't let my roommate perish because of my negligence, he typed back. Once field training is over, I'll provide you with a double-length massage service. Since the campus bell was laying on the charm, he had to at least offer some consolation, even if he couldn't go. It was a matter of pride. Serena's reply came instantly. Okay, then pleading face. After field training, you owe me double. You got it. I promised to put my heart into it. Cole allowed himself a small, knowing smile. He was made of sterner stuff now. He'd been taken down by that kind of cute offensive before and had learned his lesson the hard way. Still, he had to admit, teasing her like this was twice as fun. Bling, Facebook Messenger pinged again. It was Jasmine. You in your dorm or out playing games somewhere? In the dorm, sis, Cole replied dutifully. Make sure you get enough rest during field training. When it's over, I'll take you out somewhere fun. Got it, sis. Jasmine messaged him almost every night just to check in. She'd done the same thing in his past life, but back then he'd been so withdrawn and clueless that he'd often ignored her messages while lost in his games. Having a sister like her looking out for him was a blessing. Reborn, he knew what was worth cherishing. Just then, the dorm room door opened and Preston and Javi walked in. Not coming out with us tonight, Preston declared, glancing at Cole with an expression that screamed you missed out on $1,000,000. One of the biggest regrets of your life. Find a 20 on the ground? Cole shot him a sideways glance, then looked at a beaming Javi, who was practically glowing like he'd just won the lottery. Am I the kind of guy who bends over for loose change? Preston lifted his chin disdainfully. I believe that. Cole nodded with mock reverence. If this guy saw a $100 bill on the ground, he'd probably step on it just to prove he didn't need the money. There was a real-life example of that. Actually, though Cole had shoved him aside and pocketed the cash before Preston's foot could make contact. Seeing that Cole wasn't showing the slightest curiosity, Preston started getting antsy, like an itch he couldn't scratch. Aren't you going to ask what we scored? He finally burst out. Nope. Cole didn't even look up from the notebook where he was organizing his tea shop recipes. Impossible. Stop pretending. I know you're dying to know. Fine, I'll tell you. Unwilling to be ignored, Preston launched into a grand unveiling. He recounted the night's adventure, whether Cole was listening or not. The story was simple. They had run into 3 sophomore girls handing out flyers for a part-time gig and had successfully gotten their numbers. The moment he finished, Frank, who had been lying on his bed facing the wall like a corpse, suddenly rolled over. How come you guys didn't ask me to come? Cole, Preston, and Javi all stared at him, bewildered. Preston just shrugged. I figured you wouldn't want to go, so I didn't bother. Frank didn't reply. He just rolled back over to face the wall again. So you two were out chatting with them until just now? Cole pulled the conversation back on track. Damn, those two got lucky. The first chapter of their love stories had just begun. Not exactly, Preston stammered. Javi, a warm smile on his face, picked up the thread. The 2 upperclassmen were exhausted from standing all day, so they went back to their dorms. We just finished handing out the rest of the flyers for them. Cole nearly choked on his own saliva. He gave them both a thumbs up. Respect. Preston just chuckled, pleased with himself. Then, he looked at Cole with a sympathetic expression. That department bell hasn't come around in a while. Did you two break up? Department bell? It took Cole a second to realize he meant Serena. She's been busy. We'll talk after field training, he said, not bothering to correct Preston's assumption that they'd broken up. Honestly, their relationship was hard to define. It wasn't exactly dating, but it was more than just friendship. It was a comfortable ambiguity. As long as Serena didn't push for more, he wasn't going to try and elevate it. Maybe that made him a bit of a player, but it was also a form of self-preservation. Better than getting his heart broken down the line. He was done with that kind of idealistic romance. It only ever led to pain. Don't pretend to be strong. A girl at that level is out of your league, Preston said, a look of I see right through you on his face. Inwardly, though, he was thrilled. He'd finally scored a point against Cole. Yeah, you're right. Cole nodded earnestly, as if he were listening to a sage. Too bad we can't organize that mixer with the other department. Preston sighed dramatically, then immediately perked up. But it doesn't matter. I don't need it anymore. Cole was about to say something when Frank, the wall facer, sat bolt upright, a strange excitement in his eyes. Cole, you got dumped too? What the hell? Cole was speechless. Misery loves company, huh? Cole got dumped. You didn't even make the first cut for that hottest guy on campus thing. Preston twisted the knife, exposing the truth. At least I loved, Frank declared with theatrical anguish, before turning back to his wall. This kid. Cole shook his head. He couldn't be bothered to explain whether he'd been dumped or not. Preston whistled a cheerful tune and headed for the shower, his steps as jaunty as a general returning from a victorious battle. Finally, the grueling 2 weeks of freshman field training came to an end. It concluded on a Friday, a perfect bit of scheduling that gave the sun-scorched, exhausted students a full weekend to recover. First thing Saturday morning, Cole went to check on the renovation progress at his shop. A carpenter was building the main counter, and an electrician was busy in the bathroom. Cole pulled out 2 packs of Marlboros he'd bought and handed one to each of them. He used to be a pack-a-day smoker, but after being reborn, the craving had vanished. The carpenter, seeing the brand-name cigarettes, lit up and started chatting enthusiastically with Cole. This was exactly what Cole had hoped for. Sometimes, a single pack of good smokes could make a contractor more patient and meticulous, even willing to point out potential problems. You couldn't overdo it, though. 1 pack was a gesture of goodwill. A whole carton was a sign of desperation. The non-slip floor tiles were already laid. The walls were painted a clean white, and the electrical outlets were installed exactly where he'd specified. The lines for the air conditioner were also in place. The small loft from the original noodle shop had been demolished. Instead of a drop ceiling, the space was now open all the way to the roof, where new light fixtures would hang. It made the whole place feel more spacious and comfortable. Overall, Cole was satisfied. Everything was going according to plan. After a quick chat with the contractors, he left. He had to go buy a phone for his #1 employee, Luna. The shop would need to be furnished soon, and she would need to be on call. He was on his way to the Verizon store when his phone buzzed. A Facebook message. It was Jasmine. Cole, the sun's up. Get your butt out of bed. I'm taking you to check out North Lake today. The view is amazing. North Lake was adjacent to Eastwood University, but it was on the far side from the business school. Cole knew it like the back of his hand. He was about to reply when another message pinged. It was Serena. Cole, I want to go to North Lake. My roommate said it's beautiful, but I'm scared to go by myself. Cole blinked. A multiple-choice question. For a grandmaster with a 32-year-old soul, decision paralysis didn't exist. This was child's play. The answer was obvious. Say yes to both. He replied to the campus bell first. Your skin is so fair, and the sun is brutal today. You'll get burned. How about I take you tonight instead? We can grab dinner, find a nice bench by the lake, and I can deliver that double-length foot massage I promised. He waited a few seconds. Bling. A reply. Okay, smiling face with hearts. I was thinking the same thing. It's cooler at night, and we can see the lake's night view. What time should we meet? Cole thought for a moment. Let's say 5. We can find a good place to eat first, then go for a walk around the lake. She replied instantly. Okay, smiling face with hearts. I'll take a nap and wait for you in my dorm. Sounds good. Problem solved. It was all for the sake of protecting the campus belle's delicate skin, of course, he told himself with a slight smile. Next, he replied to Jasmine. I'm up, sis. I'll head over to the east gate of Eastwood Tech and wait for you there. Jasmine must have been waiting for his message, because she replied immediately. Okay, meet you at the east gate. The phone would have to wait until tomorrow. About 15 minutes later, Cole arrived at the east gate of Eastwood Tech. A road there led directly to North Lake, less than a mile away. The gate was bustling with students coming and going, vibrant, stylish girls, and handsome, energetic guys, the air thick with the scent of youth. After a boring wait of nearly 20 minutes, Jasmine finally appeared, her long legs striding toward him. She wore an apricot-colored t-shirt with a pair of denim hot pants that looked almost like a miniskirt, revealing a generous portion of her pale thighs. The hem of her shirt was tucked in, accentuating her slender waist. Her dark hair was pulled up into a messy top knot, adorned with a small, flowery clip, leaving her face completely exposed, a perfect blend of flirtatious charm and fresh-faced beauty. Jasmine, with her cool, sophisticated vibe, was a natural head-turner, a certified heartbreaker. Some of the guys passing by looked like they wanted to nail their gazes to her. Cole's own eyes lit up as he watched her approach. His sister was drop-dead gorgeous. As she got closer, Jasmine looked him up and down. Well, she teased. 2 weeks of field training, and you're looking even more handsome. I've always been handsome. Thank you very much, Cole replied, his expression a perfect picture of narcissism. TCH. So full of yourself, she scoffed, rolling her eyes. Cole mimicked her, looking her up and down before stroking his chin thoughtfully. And half a month apart has done wonders for your figure, sis. You're impossible. Jasmine playfully punched him in the chest, her face a mask of mock annoyance, but her eyes were smiling. Ow, you hit me again. Cole clutched his chest, feigning a serious internal injury. You know what they say? Jasmine sniffed. You always tease the one you love. In that case, could you show your love with a kiss instead of a punch next time? Cole asked, a pained look on his face to hide his mischievous intentions. No way. Jasmine lifted her delicate chin, as proud as a queen. Cole was about to retort when a girl's voice called out, Jasmine. A group of 3 guys and 2 girls were walking out of the campus gate. We're going biking at North Lake. You should come, the girl who had called out shouted as she approached. She was cute, maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10. Jasmine smiled. I'm taking my little brother out. That's your brother? I thought he was your boyfriend, the girl said, glancing at Cole's simple attire. She quickly lost interest and didn't even bother with a greeting. Jasmine didn't elaborate, instead introducing the group to Cole. The 2 girls were her roommates. The one who had shouted was Wendy, the other was Beth. They were with their boyfriends. The 3rd guy, tall and slender with a refined, pale face, carried himself with an air of quiet arrogance. His name was Ethan. Jasmine, you can bring your brother along, Ethan said. He first sized up Cole, then turned his gaze to Jasmine, his eyes burning with an undisguised heat. Cole noticed it immediately. So, this was one of his sister's admirers. Not surprising. With Jasmine's looks, it would be strange if she didn't have a fan club. I guess that's fine, Jasmine said, making the decision for Cole. Seeing her agree, a flash of excitement was clearly visible in Ethan's eyes. The group of 7 started walking toward the lakeside path. Cole. Jasmine took off her small backpack and handed it to him. Cole dutifully swung it onto his own back. Seeing this, a flicker of something passed through Ethan's eyes. He smiled and said, You 2 don't look much alike. One of you must take after your dad, and the other after your mom. If they had bothered to say hello to Cole, they would have known one's last name was Young and the other's was Miller. But they hadn't. Cole wasn't interested in why, nor did he feel any urge to introduce himself. What's so strange about that? There are plenty of siblings who don't look alike. There are even married couples who start to look alike over time. Maybe we'll grow to look more similar, Jasmine said casually, tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear. The simple, gentle movement only added to her charm, making the other guy's eyes burn with envy. Ethan moved to walk on Jasmine's other side. He readily agreed. That's true. They say that when people like each other and think about each other a lot, they start to resemble one another. As soon as he said it, he felt like something was off, but he couldn't put his finger on it. Jasmine's expression was neutral, and she didn't respond. Ethan wisely shut his mouth. Sensing the awkward silence, Wendy started chatting with Jasmine. 7 or 8 minutes later, the group arrived at the bike and scooter rental spot next to a small convenience store. An idea struck Ethan. He said with a concerned tone, Jasmine, it's so sunny. Let me buy you an umbrella to use. Cole narrowed his eyes, but said nothing. He was certain his sister would refuse. No, that's okay. Jasmine waved her hand, but the word sunny reminded her of something. She turned to Cole. Did you put on sunscreen this morning? No, I bought some spray-on stuff, but forgot to use it. Cole had indeed forgotten, thinking he'd just be grabbing the phone and heading right back. Jasmine told Cole to turn around. She rummaged through her small backpack and pulled out a tube of sunscreen. Head down, she commanded. Cole guessed what she was about to do and obediently lowered his head. He felt a wave of comfort. His sister's care was always so timely. The others looked on, puzzled and surprised. You're not actually going to put sunscreen on him, are you? He's a grown man. Can't he do it himself? Jasmine's actions confirmed their suspicions. She dotted Cole's face with white sunscreen until he looked like a clown, then began to gently rub it in with her small hands. Wendy and the others were speechless. You're really doing it? You really spoiled this brother of yours. A shadow of gloom passed over Ethan's eyes, but he quickly composed himself, forcing a smile as if he were deeply moved by their profound sibling bond. Inwardly, he was cursing. What a spoiled brat, and so tall for nothing. He's completely coddled by his sister. You guys go ahead and rent your bikes. I'll be done in a minute, Jasmine said, afraid she was making them wait. Ethan quickly put on a magnanimous air. It's no problem, we'll wait. Wendy and the others exchanged glances but said nothing. After all, they were here to play wingman for the vice president of the student union. After finishing his face, Jasmine started on Cole's arms and the backs of his hands. Holy crap, the others could only click their tongues in disbelief. It was a mind-boggling, unbelievable sight. This brother of hers was a real piece of work, too. How shameless do you have to be to accept that so matter-of-factly? Ethan, meanwhile, was lost in a frantic fantasy. That damn brat. If I marry Jasmine, there's no way I'm enabling that. I'll have to make her cut ties with that toxic family. If they're like this during the day, Do they sleep in the same bed at night? It's terrifying. To break the awkward silence, Ethan forced a sunny smile and asked Jasmine, "Your brother goes to school nearby, too, right? He's asking you a question," Jasmine said without looking up, carefully applying sunscreen to Cole's hand. Their fingers intertwined as she worked the lotion into every nook and cranny. The sight made the other's eyebrows twitch. Feeling his sister's soft, smooth hands on his, Cole was secretly thrilled. She could be fierce and was always hitting him, but she was also incredibly caring. He glanced at the so-called gentleman. "Ethan, Eastwood University, business school, freshman. Oh, so you just finished field training." Ethan chuckled. "Freshman year is tough. You should focus on your studies, little brother, not just wander around all the time. Go to class, kid, and stay out of the way." Cole chuckled right back, taking the opportunity to give Jasmine's hand a little squeeze. Once the sunscreen ritual was finally over, the group started renting their bikes. Wendy and the others all chose bicycles with rear racks, ready to experience the joy of laughing on the back of a bike. "Jasmine, let your brother ride one without a rack," Ethan suggested, a look of faux concern on his face. "Those are easier to pedal. I'll take one of these and give you a ride." "It's fine," Jasmine smiled. "He needs the exercise." Ethan's concerned expression froze. "What kind of exercise is that?" He forced a laugh. Right. He then sulked off to rent his own bike. At that moment, the word exercise triggered a memory for Jasmine. She turned and gave Cole, who was inspecting the bikes, a resentful whack on the back. "Which one?" "Let's just get an e-scooter," Cole said, walking over to the scooter stand. The electric scooters could easily carry 2 people. He asked the owner, confirmed that no one would bother them for riding double at North Lake, and paid for the rental. Jasmine didn't care either way. Any ride was fine with her. The scooter's battery indicator was full. It looked like it had plenty of stamina. As Jasmine settled onto the back seat, her figure was thrown into sharp relief, drawing the eyes of every guy they passed. The gazes of envy, jealousy, and hatred shot toward Cole like 1,000 converging swords, sharp enough to skewer him. He felt a pair of arms wrap around his waist. A wide grin spread across his face as he announced, "And we're off." With a twist of the throttle, the scooter carried the siblings forward. The group of 7 set off, each with their own thoughts. The surface of North Lake was vast, and a cool breeze carrying the faint, grassy smell of water blew against them, a refreshing and uplifting feeling. The scooter moved forward at a leisurely pace. Jasmine kept pointing to buildings across the lake, explaining what each one was. Cole knew North Lake better than anyone, but he played along, murmuring, "Oh, I see. Wow." The path was crowded with pedestrians, and the road conditions weren't great, forcing Cole to brake frequently. Each time, Jasmine bumped into his back. Strangely, she didn't hit him this time. She was too absorbed in her role as tour guide. Before he knew it, Jasmine was pressed completely against his back, holding on tighter. The thin fabric of their shirts felt like no barrier at all. This feeling, it was absolutely exhilarating. Trailing behind the scooter, Ethan's face was dark. The bike he had chosen was, for some reason, incredibly difficult to pedal. Every time he tried to speed up, it took a huge effort. Coupled with the crowds, he couldn't even manage to pull up alongside Jasmine. Wendy and Beth's boyfriends were having an even worse time. Their bikes were heavy, the weather was hot, and after just a short distance, they were huffing and puffing. They were filled with regret. They should have rented a scooter too. They didn't know if you could laugh on the back of a bike, but they were pretty sure they wanted to cry. The rear rack was hard as a rock, digging into their backsides. When they reached the middle of the lake, there was a rest area with a small convenience store. The 7 of them stopped for a short break. The 2 boyfriend drivers were relieved, their legs trembling as they got off their bikes. The constant starting and stopping in the crowd had been pure torture. Ethan dragged his stiff legs over to Jasmine. He stretched his arms wide, took a deep breath, and said with a look of pure bliss, "It's so nice to get out for a bike ride like this every once in a while. It feels great." Wendy and the others exchanged odd looks. Is this really the time for that? Shouldn't you be rushing inside to buy her a drink? But in the next second, Ethan started ordering Cole around. "Hey, little brother, hurry up and go buy some snacks and drinks. It's so hot. Your sister must be dying." Everyone. When he shot Ethan a long look, sighing internally. If you're trying to win a girl over, be generous, be smart. Why are you trying to use someone else to show your own concern? This guy was known for being a bit cheap, but she never imagined he'd be this cheap. Ethan didn't notice the cold flash in Jasmine's eyes. "Sis, I'm going to buy you some snacks. It's packed in there, so you just wait on the scooter," Cole said, naturally taking charge. As for a certain someone else, he couldn't be bothered to even acknowledge him. "Okay, go ahead," Jasmine said, settling back onto the scooter. The two couples then sent their respective boyfriends in to buy things, while Wendy and Beth came over to chat with Jasmine. Is there anything in particular you want? I can bring it out for you, Ethan said, seeing the other guys go in. He was relieved. Treating Jasmine alone was fine. She wouldn't eat much anyway. But treating a whole group would have been way too expensive. No thanks, my brother will take care of me, Jasmine said, her expression flat as she looked toward the store. All right then, I'll go take a look inside too, Ethan said, disappointed but also glad for his wallet. The three girls chatted for a bit. The two boyfriends soon emerged, carrying small snacks and bottles of water. They were followed by Ethan, who was holding 2 bottles of Aquafina. Jasmine, here, have some water, Ethan said, opening a bottle and presenting it to her like a gentleman. Really, it's okay. You can have it, Jasmine replied politely, her brow slightly furrowed as she refused. But Ethan insisted. Take it. Your brother just started college. He probably doesn't have much spending money. He had noticed Cole wandering around inside empty-handed, probably looking for the cheapest option. Wendy, listening nearby, didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Ethan guy looks so clean-cut and handsome, so suave, but how is his emotional intelligence so low? I said no. Ethan, if my brother doesn't have money, I'll provide for him. You don't need to worry about that, Jasmine said, her gaze serious and firm as she looked at him. Okay, he conceded, forced to retreat under her stare. He smiled awkwardly and stepped aside. A total enabler, he thought. She's going to spoil him rotten. If we get together, I have to make her cut ties with her family. Otherwise, she'll drain every penny we have on him. Just then, Cole finally came out, carrying a full plastic bag. In his other hand, he held a small cup of Häagen-Dazs. Why did you buy so much? Jasmine asked, opening the bag to find spicy chips, marinated chicken feet, small cakes, hot dogs, lemonade. This is what I call a culinary journey. Cole grinned, a mischievous glint in his eye. You could be the elegant foodie, and I'll be responsible for carrying you to the ends of the earth. You and your sweet talk, Jasmine chided, rolling her eyes, but her heart fluttered. Cole opened the ice cream, scooped up a spoonful, and held it to Jasmine's lips. Already accustomed to this, she naturally opened her mouth. Ethan, standing nearby, watched this scene with a sour feeling in his gut, wanting to rush over and scream, "Let me do it!" After feeding his sister a spoonful, Cole took one for himself. Ethan sneered internally. Great, now you've contaminated it with your saliva. Let's see what you do now. But then Cole fed another spoonful right into Jasmine's mouth. Not only did she not mind, she licked the spoon cleaner than her own face. Suddenly, the Aquafina in Ethan's mouth tasted incredibly bitter. He roared in his mind. Don't you know anything about boundaries between a grown brother and sister? Whether a grown brother and sister needed boundaries was a question Jasmine didn't know the answer to, and Cole certainly didn't. The two of them shared the ice cream. One bite for you, one for me. He'd only bought 1 bottle of lemonade, 2, which they passed back and forth. The sight left Wendy and the others completely dumbfounded. They called this a sibling relationship? Hell, they acted more like a couple than the actual couples in the group. There was no sappy, lovey-dovey gazing into each other's eyes. They just naturally ate what the other fed them. Normal siblings weren't like this. They usually bickered and found each other annoying. This pair was different. They were like 2 halves of the same person. After eating and drinking their fill, the 7 of them set off again, each with a different mood. This time, however, Jasmine took the driver's seat. She was eager to experience the thrill of giving her little brother a ride. Little did she know, this played right into Cole's hands. Because Ethan hadn't gotten a plastic bag, he was now awkwardly trying to ride while clutching his bottle of water and the handlebars. He finally put the bottle in a shallow basket up front, but after a short distance, the water bottle made a break for it and fell out. Ethan wanted to go back and get it, but just then, another e-scooter zipped past, knocking the perfectly good bottle of water out of his path. By the time he looked up, the group was already far ahead. Forgetting his fallen water, he frantically pedaled with all his might to catch up. Under the cool lake breeze, the sun no longer felt so scorching. Cole was in an excellent mood, not because of the wind, but because he had his arms wrapped around his driver's slender waist, and his driver hadn't told him off. So slim, so soft. His hands began to wander of their own accord. Hands! Jasmine finally snapped. Any longer, and the ticklish sensation would have driven her straight into the lake. But that hand kept moving, sneaky and persistent, here one moment, there the next. Jasmine barely maintained a calm exterior, though a faint blush crept up the back of her ears. When she felt the hard shape of his phone pressing in her back, she quickly stopped the scooter, dismounted, and shot Cole a fierce glare. She pinched a soft bit of flesh on his waist. "You little monster," she hissed. "You drive. Cole winced in pain and obediently switched to the driver's seat. It's not my fault, he thought, but a new problem arose. Her sitting behind him was a major distraction. In the end, Cole came up with a solution. He had Jasmine place the bag of snacks on her lap, turning it into a makeshift storage rack, one with a built-in anti-theft device. His waist was pinched again and again by Jasmine. Internally, Cole was ecstatic. It was a painful sort of pleasure. He sped up the scooter, leaving the other 5 far behind. He hadn't wanted to deal with them in the first place and was only tolerating them for his sister's sake. They were outsiders, not worth a single thought. When she was tired of pinching him, Jasmine rested her head on Cole's broad back, a faint smile on her lips as she gazed into the distance, lost in thought. They rode on, stopping here and there, not starting back until 3 in the afternoon. They had long since lost the other 5. Jasmine's roommate had called at one point, but she hadn't answered. On the way back, you can't just throw money around, you know? Especially not on girls. You hear me? Jasmine switched into lecture mode. Heard you. And no sneaking off into the woods to fool around. But, what if I get tempted? Cole started getting ideas again. If you really can't control yourself. Are you listening to me? I'm listening. Jasmine fell silent. But sometimes silence speaks louder than words. The answer was clear. Feeling his sister's indulgence, Cole couldn't help but think again about what had happened in his past life. After they returned the scooter and were walking arm in arm toward Eastwood Tech's Eastgate, Cole, just to be safe, made a serious demand. Sis, from now on, you're not allowed to go to strange places, especially not to drink. And you are definitely not allowed to go to bars or clubs. Jasmine was stunned. It took her a moment to process what he'd said. She didn't even know which way a bar door opened. Assuming Cole just didn't like those places, she answered honestly. I never go. I haven't even had a drink without you around, let alone seen the inside of a bar. Then she asked teasingly, what about club activities? Or what if I have to go to a dinner for a job recruitment event? As if she needed to go to a recruitment event. She was going home to help her dad with the family business and barely participated in any school activities. Not allowed. Quit the clubs. And who needs a recruitment event? I'll provide for you, Cole said, his tone firm and unyielding. Jasmine froze, staring at her suddenly domineering little brother as if she had discovered a new continent. She studied his profile silently, as if trying to get to know him all over again. What's wrong? Is there something on my face? Cole turned his head slightly. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the world seemed to stand still. After a long pause, Jasmine gave him a look that was half pout, half scolding. You're so bossy. That single, playfully angry glance sent a shiver through Cole's heart. He bit his tongue to suppress certain wayward thoughts. So, will you listen to me? He asked seriously. I'll listen. Oomph. You little monster. I'll listen to you. But I'm warning you, if you don't provide for me in the future, I'll bite you to death. As she said this, she gave his shoulder a light, playful bite. Cole was deeply moved. He knew that when Jasmine said she would do something, she meant it. At least he could eliminate those risks. Just as he was basking in this touching moment, a sharp pain shot through his waist. Jasmine's expression snapped from flirtatious to fierce as she twisted a handful of his flesh. You were just being mean to me, weren't you? She said menacingly. Tell me, will you dare to be mean to me again? Heaven as my witness. Was I ever mean? Cole wailed all the way back. 20 minutes later, at the Eastwood University Law School women's dormitory, Serena, her face etched with worry, obediently followed her mother, Helen, downstairs and got into a black Audi 8. Just moments before, Serena had been carefully getting ready for her evening date at the lake. But then her mother had shown up unannounced, right at her dorm room. She said that Serena's grandfather was gravely ill and wanted to see her. The news sent a jolt of panic through her. With her mother already distraught over her grandfather's illness, Serena didn't dare pull out her phone to let Cole know what was happening. The atmosphere in the car was oppressively quiet. Serena understood her mother's anxiety and didn't want to disturb her, so she just stared blankly out the window, her mind filled with images of her doting grandfather. A familiar figure on the sidewalk caught her eye. He was walking at a leisurely pace. It was Cole. Serena's eyes widened, but the car was moving, and in an instant he was gone. She desperately wanted to send him a message, but she knew her mother. If Helen saw her on her phone, there would be questions. Your grandpa's sick and you're just hanging out online? Who are you even talking to? Classes haven't even started yet. How busy could you possibly be? It was better to avoid making a scene. Once they got to the airport, she would sneak off to the restroom and send him a message. She felt terrible for standing him up. They had plans for dinner and a walk by the lake. She'd have to make it up to him when she got back to school, she thought. At 4 o'clock, Cole returned to his dorm. He took a long, comfortable shower, changed his clothes, and got ready for the evening's main event. For a master of time management, 2 dates in one day was a piece of cake. The thought of the lakeside rendezvous made his heart race. I'll have to find a dark spot, he schemed, to make it more convenient to expand the scope of my services. At 5 o'clock, Cole arrived excitedly at the law school women's dormitory. He sent a message. I'm here. He waited patiently for 5 minutes. No reply. What's going on? He sent another message. Where are you? 10 minutes later, still nothing. Cole looked up at the building. He didn't see her familiar figure, only a girl talking on the phone on a third-floor balcony. Did something happen? He wondered. Serena wasn't the type to change plans without letting him know. It had to be some kind of emergency. After thinking for a moment, he decided not to call. On his way back to the dorm, he took a detour to the Verizon store off campus. He picked out a new Samsung smartphone for Luna, one that cost a little over $300. It only had 3G, but for this era, that was more than enough. As his #1 reserve employee, she needed a way to be contacted. From there, Cole walked over to the accounting department's women's dormitory. All this back and forth had to be at least 4 or 5 miles of walking. Inside room 603. Luna, are you sure you don't need to go to the clinic? Brianna asked, looking worriedly at Luna, who was lying in bed. I'm fine, really, Luna replied, her voice weak as she forced her heavy eyelids open. She'd been perfectly fine this morning, but in the afternoon, a fever had suddenly hit her. They didn't have a thermometer in the dorm, so she didn't know her temperature, but her whole body felt like it was on fire, and it seemed like she could breathe flames. A splitting headache and total body weakness made her miserable. It was strange. She almost never got sick. She made it through field training without a problem, only to fall ill the moment it was over. Figuring she could sleep it off in a couple of days, she didn't want to go to the campus clinic. For one, it was far, and for another, it cost money. All right, well, get some sleep, Brianna said, not pushing it. A little while later, Felicity came in. Luna, she called out, that guy who brought you the sunscreen is here. He's downstairs. Forget it. She's not feeling well, Brianna said. But to her surprise, Luna scrambled out of bed. I'll just go down for a minute. Hey, you're sick. Why are you going down? Just have him come back another time, Brianna said, completely confused. She could tell they weren't in that kind of relationship. Yet Luna was placing so much importance on this meeting. It was a mystery. When she asked, Luna was as tight-lipped as a clam. It's okay. I'll just be a minute. Luna, dizzy and lightheaded, had to lean against the bed frame for a moment to steady herself. Seeing that she couldn't be persuaded, Brianna just sighed and let her go. Fighting through her discomfort, Luna made her way downstairs, clinging to the wall for support, taking each step one at a time. Cole was here, and it was probably about to shop. She had to go down. After waiting for a while, Cole finally saw Luna. But something was clearly wrong with the girl. Her lips were an unnaturally bright red, yet she had no energy. Seeing Cole, Luna managed to say, Sorry to keep you waiting. Are you not feeling well? Cole could tell at a glance. Just a little. It's nothing, she said, her voice barely a whisper as she struggled to keep her swaying body upright. Then why did you force yourself to come down? You could have just had your roommate pass on a message. Cole had planned to give her the phone and maybe a few pointers, but now was obviously not the time. Luna shook her head, a stubborn light in her otherwise listless eyes. Here, take this. Go back and get some rest, Cole said, holding out the plastic bag with the phone box inside. Luna didn't ask what it was. She reached out to take it, but a sudden wave of dizziness washed over her, and her body swayed, about to collapse. Cole quickly lunged forward and caught her. This was serious. He placed the back of his hand on her forehead. Holy, she was burning up. A high fever. It had to be at least 102. No, you have to go to the hospital. Luna could no longer speak. She gasped for air, her whole body aching. All she wanted was to lie down and sleep. Feeling her go limp in his arms, Cole realized she needed to get to the clinic immediately. He turned, bent down, and helped her onto his back. Wrap your arms around my neck. We're going to the campus clinic now. Her thoughts slowing to a crawl, Luna instinctively did as she was told. Some part of her subconscious told her that this was the only person she could trust. Cole hooked his arms under her legs, gave a little bounce to settle her more securely on his back, and started moving. She was probably around 100 pounds. He was surprised. She looked so thin, but she was a healthy weight. He ignored the soft pressure against his back. This was no time for inappropriate thoughts. He headed toward the engineering campus, where the nearest clinic was located. Near was a relative term. It was still a good mile away. The Eastwood campus was massive. Halfway there, Cole started to desperately miss the e-scooter. Carrying 100 pounds for this long was no easy feat. His breathing was becoming ragged, his steps heavier. He gritted his teeth and pushed on, silently cheering himself on. Come on, 18-year-old stamina, don't fail me now. The breath on his neck was scorching hot. If she didn't get treatment soon, the fever could cause real damage. He didn't slow down. Instead, he picked up the pace. The late September weather was still hot, and sweat poured down Cole's face. Students passing by cast curious glances. 2 girls offered to help, and Cole was about to accept when the hands around his neck tightened. He politely declined the 2 upperclassmen's kind offer. Just as he was panting heavily, the campus clinic finally came into view. Inside, a dozen or so students were sitting and getting 4 drips. He helped Luna into a chair and took her temperature. 103. 5-degree F. Cole was shocked. It was a good thing he'd brought her. Otherwise, she might have gone into shock. After a quick diagnosis, the doctor said it was a viral flu, likely brought on by a combination of not being acclimated to the local environment and exhaustion from field training. They'd seen quite a few similar cases. Rockford was a unique place. Many newcomers experienced various kinds of discomfort. Seeing an empty bed, Cole carried the feverish Luna over and laid her down. She was in no condition to sit up for an 4. Once the nurse had the drip started, Cole finally sat down on the chair beside the bed, his legs trembling. Man, I must be out of shape, he thought. A mile with a passenger, and I'm wiped. On the bed, Luna's eyes were tightly shut, her small face flushed red from the fever. She was still wearing the same plain, loose-fitting red t-shirt and a pair of faded blue jeans. She hadn't spent any money on new clothes, Cole noted. Hard-working and unpretentious, she was the perfect employee. Noticing the cool temperature from the indoor air conditioning, Cole took the thin blanket from the foot of the bed, unfolded it, and draped it over her. As he pulled it up to her chest, he felt a faint sense of something being different from before, but he didn't dwell on it. While she rested, he went out and bought a bottle of water and a can of rice pudding. As dusk fell, the number of students in the clinic dwindled until only 3 patients remained. The alarm he'd set to signal a new 4 bag went off, jolting Cole awake from his doze. He called the nurse over, who changed the bag. He checked his phone and saw he had messages from Serena. I'm so sorry. My grandpa is sick, and my mom came to get me this afternoon. I'm at the airport, about to board. I'm really sorry, Cole. I'll make it up to you when I get back, okay? Please don't be mad. Along with the 2 messages was a picture. Airport. JPG. Cole smiled, relieved. The campus belle was as considerate as ever. She'd known to message him back. He looked up at Luna. Her face was no longer red. He gently placed the back of his hand on her forehead. The fever had mostly broken. Her forehead and the back of her neck were covered in tiny beads of sweat. She was probably soaked. Sweating was a good sign. It meant the fever was breaking fast. Cole poured half a cup of hot water from a dispenser and mixed it with bottled water to get the temperature just right. He stuck a straw in it, which he'd gotten from the clinic's small shop. He gently placed the straw between her lips. The 4 would rehydrate her, but her mouth would still be dry and bitter. Sleeping, Luna's lips moved slightly, and she took a small sip. When he figured she'd had enough, Cole placed the cup on the bedside table and went back to dozing in his chair. He was hit by that classic autumn fatigue. With no TikTok to scroll through in this era, boredom quickly gave way to sleep. As his breathing settled into a steady rhythm, the girl on the bed slowly opened her eyes. Luna turned her head, her gaze fixed on the person sleeping beside her bed. His weary reflection was captured in her eyes. She just watched him, lost in thought, barely moving except for the occasional blink. Since she was a little girl, no one besides her late father had ever been this kind to her. She could read people's eyes, and she knew what was and wasn't in his. This person didn't have that kind of intention. Because of her body, the way other men looked at her felt predatory, like they wanted to devour her. The women whispered cruel things behind her back. It made her feel terrified and disgusted. Every day, she felt like she was walking on eggshells. She had long since gotten used to hiding her figure, even if the restrictive clothing was uncomfortable. She was always on guard, always vigilant, even propping a chair against her door when she slept. She hadn't known him for long, but in her heart, it was starting to feel like they'd known each other for ages. If he had been around back then, she thought, maybe I would have had a happy childhood. The 4 bag was nearly empty. The alarm went off, waking Cole again. Luna quickly turned her head away, pretending to be asleep. Cole called the nurse to change the bag, then took a tissue and gently dabbed the sweat from Luna's neck. Now that her temperature was stable, she probably wouldn't sweat anymore. Her small face was genuinely beautiful, a different kind of beauty from Serena's or Jasmine's. Serena, when quiet, had a cool, regal air, a face that could bring peace to a nation, the pride of a princess. Jasmine was the sophisticated, high-fashion type, radiating a captivating allure when she wasn't hitting him. Luna, on the other hand, was like a delicate landscape painting, gentle and serene. But from her actions, he could tell she was a classic example of outer softness hiding inner strength. A shame. Cole sighed internally. He was older now, more experienced. He knew that even if clothes showed a certain silhouette, it was often an illusion, the result of padding and push-up designs. Once the truth was revealed, it felt a bit like being scammed. He knew it was a bad way to think, but he couldn't help it. It was like a sickness in his mind. Under the blanket, unseen by Cole, Luna's other hand was clenched tightly around the bedsheet. She could feel him looking at her. If any other man stared at her like that, she would feel disgusted, a cold chill running through her, and she would leave immediately. But now, she just felt nervous. For the first time, she even felt a little self-conscious about her clothes. When the last four bag was empty, Luna could no longer pretend to be asleep. She had to wake up. "You're awake. Feeling any better?" Cole asked, checking her forehead again. Her temperature felt normal. "Much better," Luna said, her voice small. She glanced at him, then quickly looked down. "Are you hungry? I have some rice pudding. Want to eat it now?" Cole picked up the can from the table. It was room temperature, perfect for someone who was sick. "I'm not hungry right now," Luna whispered, shaking her head. But just then, her stomach let out a loud gurgle. Her face, which had been pale after the fever broke, flushed red again. She felt incredibly embarrassed and pulled the blanket up to cover half her face. Cole found it amusing and couldn't help but chuckle. The sound made Luna even more flustered. He ignored her protest and, with a soft click, opened the can of pudding. "Come on, eat up," he teased. "You need your strength to walk back to the dorm. I don't think I can carry you again." Beneath the blanket, the corners of Luna's lips curled into a tiny smile. The thought of how he had painstakingly carried her to the hospital filled her with a mixture of shyness and warmth. She gave a soft okay. She sat up and took the can, but before she started eating, she looked at Cole. "You haven't had dinner either, have you? Let's split it." "I ate around 4. "You eat it." Cole almost habitually said, "You can feed me," but caught himself at the last second. "Okay." Luna finally relented and began eating with a small plastic spoon. Looking at the single spoon, she suddenly realized something, and her ears turned red again. After she finished, she felt some of her strength return. Cole picked up the bag of medicine and the bag with the new phone, and they left the clinic. It was already past 9 o'clock. A cool autumn breeze swept by, carrying a hint of chill. A full moon hung in the night sky, and the sound of crickets chirped from the surrounding greenery. It was a night unique to youth. No pressure, just peace and beauty. Cole felt a sense of ease wash over him. "Do you have any siblings?" he asked. I have a younger brother. My mom took him with her," Luna said, a flicker of sadness in her eyes before it vanished. "Your mom? She left," Luna said quietly. Cole fell silent. He understood what left meant. "What about your dad?" he asked. "My dad? He had an accident when I was 8. Luna's childlike voice grew heavy. "I'm sorry," Cole said. He had assumed her parents were divorced, not that. "It's okay." Luna shook her head. Besides her roommates, no one else knew. But when Cole asked, she was willing to talk about it. "Are your grandparents still around?" "They passed away when I was a freshman in high school. After that, I went to live at my uncle's house." Cole didn't ask questions like, "Couldn't you live in your own house?" For a beautiful young girl, living alone was out of the question. The world was a wonderful place, but it had a dark side, too. They walked and talked, one question and one answer at a time. The mile-long walk took them over half an hour. Even though they moved at a snail's pace, they eventually reached her dorm. Luna looked up at the building, feeling like the time had passed too quickly. "Here," Cole said, handing her the bag with the phone and the medicine. "Go back to your room and figure it out. The SIM card is in the bag, too. I already topped it up." "Oh, okay. How much was it?" "I'll pay you back when I have money," Luna said, taking the bag and looking at Cole shyly. She didn't refuse. Cole had said she would need it for work, so it was necessary. "It's a gift. You're my first employee," Cole teased with a smile. "But no quitting on me, okay? I'm counting on you." I won't quit," Luna said, shaking her head like a bobblehead doll. Her voice edged with urgency. "I'm just kidding," Cole said. Seeing her anxious expression, he found it incredibly endearing. She was such a kind, pure-hearted girl. He gestured toward the dorm entrance with his chin. "All right, go on up. Get some rest, and take your medicine on time." "Okay. You. Be careful on your way back." Luna slowly made her way to the building entrance, took a few steps, then turned back. Cole waved again, signaling for her to go inside. She gave a small nod and disappeared into the building. When she reached the 6th-floor balcony, She looked down, but Cole was gone. She frantically scanned the distance and quickly spotted his familiar figure. She watched from afar until he disappeared from sight, then finally went back into her dorm room. Only Brianna and Felicity were there. Her other 3 roommates were out. As soon as Luna walked in, Felicity asked, "How are you? Are you okay?" "Much better," Luna said, sitting on her bed and placing the bag on her nightstand. Brianna plopped down beside her and felt her forehead. "You're right, the fever's gone." Then she started teasing. "And you said you two weren't dating. We all saw him carry you to the clinic. On a hot day like this, he must have been exhausted. I told you to go to the clinic, and you wouldn't, but the second he shows up, you go, 'TSK, TSK.' Luna was mortified. She hadn't expected to feel so weak after going downstairs. She wanted to explain that they weren't dating, but the words caught in her throat, suppressed by some strange, unspoken feeling. "What's this?" Brianna rummaged through the medicine bag, then opened the other one. "Whoa, a new phone." She looked at the model and gasped. "Isn't this Samsung model like over $300? Your boyfriend got it for you? Damn, he's loaded." Felicity immediately crowded around to look. Most of them used Nokias or Motorola's, the kind that cost under $100. Unless your family was well off, who would splurge on a $300 phone? Hearing the word boyfriend, Luna's cheeks flushed, but she still didn't explain. The price of the phone made her uneasy, though. It was too expensive. She'd have to pay him back once she started earning money. Brianna and Felicity took her silence as a confirmation. When it came to phones, Luna was a complete novice. With her 2 roommates' help, she finally managed to install the SIM card. After clumsily logging into Facebook Messenger, she found a friend request. "I'm Cole." She quickly accepted and sent a message. "Are you back yet?" On his way back to the dorm, Cole sent a reply to Serena. "No worries. We'll do it next time." After a moment's thought, he added with a wicked grin, "So, is any kind of compensation on the table?" Serena's profile picture was grayed out. Who knew when she'd see the message? Cole left it and didn't think about it again. He got back to the dorm. Only Frank was there, lying on his bed like a corpse, clearly still not over the pain inflicted by the upperclassmen. The other 2 animals were out somewhere, God knows where. Perhaps because he finally had an audience, Frank tossed and turned, then suddenly sighed dramatically. "Cole, I feel like you're the only one who understands my pain." He then slammed his fist on the bed in anguish. Why do good guys like us always get dumped? Without even looking at him, Cole, who was booting up his computer, said, "First, take the us out of that sentence. Second, you weren't dumped." Huh. Frank automatically filtered out the first part, his face a mixture of confusion and a desperate hope for validation. "What do you mean I wasn't dumped?" Cole smirked. "At best, you just lost your ATM privileges." ATM privileges? Frank looked thoughtful, as if he were trying to grasp some profound meaning. Cole expected him to launch into some self-deprecating, tragic monologue. Instead, Frank smacked his lips a few times, a look of sudden enlightenment on his face. He slapped his bed again. "I get it now." Cole shot him a sideways glance. "Good. The sooner he figures it out, the better. Maybe he won't get taken for a ride again." But then Frank, as if preparing for a peaceful death, clasped his hands over his chest and let out a long sigh. "I was judging a book by its cover. The upperclassman was trying to save me from myself, to help me see the error of my ways. She's such a kind person. I completely misunderstood her." Cole? A severe case of self-gaslighting? Or is he just hypnotizing himself to lessen the pain? Either way, it was a good thing. Better than going broke later. A short while later, Preston and Javi came back, one after the other. Both looked incredibly pleased with themselves, as if they'd just had the time of their lives. They walked in, sat down, and immediately started tapping away at their phones. Preston was even humming a tune, one that sounded suspiciously like a cheesy love song. After sending his message, Preston, still buzzing with energy, paced back and forth behind Cole's chair. "If you have something to say, just say it," Cole said, busy browsing the websites for the local business and health departments. He needed to get his business license and food service permit as soon as possible, along with his tax registration. The health permit was particularly tedious, but he could at least start the online application and wait for the certificate to arrive while he was operating. But as he looked, he realized he was missing something, a food handler's card. Without it, he couldn't even apply. "Okay, first thing tomorrow morning. Guess what I did tonight?" Preston leaned on Cole's desk, a mysterious look on his face. Cole didn't even raise his eyelids. "Went on a date." "Whoa, how did you know?" Preston feigned exaggerated surprise, his eyes screaming, "Keep asking. Keep asking." Cole just scoffed. "Please, it's practically written on your forehead." "Huh, is it that obvious?" Preston touched his forehead, then puffed out his chest with pride. "You're right, I did go on a date. We had dinner." "Oh, So you're making progress. Cole, assuming it was dinner followed by a romantic walk, indulged his curiosity. Did you hold hands? Preston shook his head. Not yet. So, after dinner you went to a movie? No. You were at dinner this whole time? No. I'm busy. Get lost. We handed out flyers, of course. We just got back, Preston said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Cole was dumbfounded. With a sliver of disbelief, he had to ask, You two paid for dinner? Yeah. Ask Javi if you don't believe me, Preston said, as if he needed a witness to prove his point. Javi nodded emphatically. Cole's eyes widened. And after dinner, they went with you to hand out flyers? No. They left right after we ate. Said they had something urgent to do. Cole took a deep breath and confirmed, one word at a time, so you paid. And then you stayed to finish their work for them? And that's what you call a date? Yeah. What's wrong with that? They had dinner with us, so it's only right that we help them out. It's called being considerate, Preston said, his face a mask of pride as he shot Cole a look of disdain. Cole was floored. Now that's true dedication, he thought. My own mind is just too dirty. Preston, glowing with confidence, smiled. I'm telling you, man, if you want to get a girlfriend, you need to learn from me. You have to play the long game. Don't rush things. It's okay to be a little thirsty, but don't be desperate. You have to close the distance step by step until she's addicted to you and can't live without you. Cole's jaw dropped. He was truly shaken. TSK. This guy is the real expert. He's got a solid theoretical foundation. Cole clasped his hands together in a gesture of respect. The corners of Preston's mouth turned up in a self-satisfied smirk. He clapped Cole on the shoulder. If you could learn just a third of this, he said sagely, that department belle probably wouldn't have dumped you. Oh well, keep trying. With that, he sauntered off to the bathroom, completely content. Cole blinked, then closed his mouth. Such a profound theory was probably best left unlearned. He closed the browser window and opened Facebook Messenger. Bling! A message popped up. A squirrel avatar was bouncing on his screen. Are you back yet? It was Luna. Her username was QuietMe. Compared to the cringy, unique usernames of this era, hers was simple, but it fit her perfectly. Cole replied, explaining, I'm back. Was just talking to my roommates, didn't see the message. She replied almost instantly. Oh, okay. I'm going to sleep then. Good night. Cole wrote back. Okay, get some rest. Remember to take your medicine in the morning and follow the doctor's instructions about eating before or after. The 4 was just a one-day thing. Not like in the future where they'd keep you on a drip for 3 days, charging you by the day, with no guarantee you'd feel better. Luna. Okay, good night. Then her squirrel avatar turned gray as she went offline. After a moment's thought, Cole sent one more message. Good night. He wouldn't normally do that for other girls, but Luna was different. She was his #1 employee, and her gentle yet resilient personality deserved proper respect. The next day, early in the morning, Cole went back to the campus clinic to get his food handler's card. The card itself wouldn't be ready right away, but on Monday he could at least go to the business bureau to register the shop's name. There were a lot of tedious steps, but for his first shop, he had to do it all himself. He had already thought of a name, the Tea Alchemist. The famous chain he was riffing on wouldn't pop up for a few more years. They probably wouldn't mind him borrowing the concept. Bling! His phone buzzed. Facebook Messenger. He opened it. It was the campus bell. Serena, Grandpa had surgery, and he's doing okay. I was so scared. He's the best. A few seconds later, another message came through. Anything for compensation is fine. Cole grinned. He deliberately typed back. Really? Anything? He was halfway back to the dorm before she replied. Well, some things are off the table, see no evil monkey. Cole's heart started to itch. He replied cheekily, like what? Serena, I don't know, see no evil monkey. Just, some things are off the table, see no evil monkey. My dear campus belle, you've changed, Cole thought, shaking his head. You're not an ice queen at all anymore. He grinned. But damn, I like it. Just then, another message popped up. At most, you can have. That's see no evil monkey. Huh? Cole froze. I thought you were going to offer to buy me dinner. I didn't ask for that. I'm not just a technician, you know. Are you compensating me or booking my services? But it's not like I'm opposed. Cole's mind flashed back to their last encounter. He swallowed hard, an unbearable itch spreading through him. He couldn't help but blurt out in a message. In that case, can I take a bite? She immediately went offline. Cole rubbed his nose, embarrassed. A 32-year-old soul could be so shameless. Look what he'd done, scare the good girl away. It wasn't until he got back to the dorm that his messenger pinged again. Serena, huh? You want to eat it? You're such a pervert, unamused face. Reading that, even Cole felt a pang of shame for his particular kink. How could I? Still, it sounds delicious. All right, she called you a pervert. Your image is ruined. Game over. Cole sighed, tossed his phone on the bed, and grabbed the clothes he'd worn yesterday to go wash them. He was scrubbing away when he heard his messenger ping again. He finished his laundry, hung it up to dry, and only then did he casually pick up his phone. It was Serena. His heart skipped a beat as he opened the message. Just one bite. No more. I'm flying back the day after tomorrow at the latest. Can I take a bite? Instantly, a fantastic scene bloomed in his mind. Cole felt the blood rush through his veins, his mind buzzing. A wave of heat washed over him. This hit a soft spot deep in his old, lecherous heart. Campus Belle, you really know how to play the game. Even with his 32 years of experience, it took Cole a great deal of effort to suppress his excitement and a certain appetite. He calmly replied, "Okay, waiting for you." After all, he had to maintain his cool. Meanwhile, in a major hospital in the capital, in the hallway outside a patient room, Serena sat on a long bench, her hands covering her burning face, her mind still replaying Cole's request for compensation. How could he be like that? Seriously, what's so good about eating it? But I can't help it. I'm the one who stood him up. When the time comes, will he bite? What do I do? I'm so scared. Serena, her mother, Helen, poked her head out of a VIP room. Grandpa's awake. Come talk to him. Coming, Mom. Serena replied quickly, her face lighting up with joy. Her grandpa was her favorite person, the only one who could keep her mom in check. It was only because she knew he had pulled through that she had the peace of mind to reply to Cole's messages. She composed herself, transforming back into the cool, obedient girl, and hurried into the room. On Sunday, Cole made a trip to a wholesale market for restaurant supplies. These costs were directly tied to his profit margin, so he had to put in the effort to negotiate with the most affordable suppliers. Each stall here was essentially a small trading company, buying raw materials and supplying them to various businesses for a markup. The reaction from every stall owner was the same. They saw how young he was and immediately grew impatient. Who is this kid? Barely old enough to shave, and he's here to talk business? But then they take a closer look at his clothes, accept the Marlboro he offered, and their attitude would soften considerably. Cole started laying it on thick, telling them his family owned a restaurant group and that they were making him start his own business from scratch without using their established channels. That was why he was here looking for suppliers. Hearing this, the owner's attitudes improved even more. Otherwise, who would believe a kid of 18 or 19? Cole carried a notebook listing all the materials he needed: boba pearls, pudding, coffee beans, various fruit purees for drinks. He let the owners see the quantities he required. By the end of the day, he had locked down a few wholesale suppliers he could work with. He would come back another day to finalize the details. Monday was the first official day of university classes. Back then, freshmen were pretty neutral about A.M. classes, unlike in later years when they would be met with universal dread. Cole diligently attended his morning classes, then went to his faculty advisor to ask for the afternoon off. He put on a stellar performance, claiming he had a sudden case of acute gastritis, and finally got an approved absence slip. The advisor would inform his afternoon professors. Cole didn't know the professor's temperaments yet and didn't dare ask his roommates to cover for him, so he played it safe and got official leave. Then he took his rental agreement and headed straight for the city's business administration office. By the time he finished the name registration process, most of the afternoon was gone. Without stopping, he went to the shop to check on the renovation progress, bringing 2 more packs of Marlboros with him. The contractors were working fast. They'd probably be done in another week or so. Add in time for the space to air out and for him to furnish the interior, and he could definitely be open for business within a month. That month was perfect for getting the business license and health permit sorted. Everything was on track. After chatting with the workers, Cole visited 2 sign-making shops to get quotes for the main sign and an LED display. After gathering the information, he didn't rush to make a decision. He could get that done while the shop was airing out. Cole bought himself an ice cream bar and strolled around. As he passed a real estate agency, a conversation from inside caught his attention. He stopped, pretending to look at the property listings taped to the window. A real estate agent came out. "Hello, can I help you with anything?" "Oh, I'm thinking of renting a place. Just looking for now." The agent enthusiastically welcomed Cole inside. Cole played the part of a student looking for a rental, meticulously stating his requirements, while his ears were tuned to the middle-aged man talking nearby. Urgent sale for immigration. In the first half of 2010, the government had implemented policies to cool down the housing market, but by the second half, prices were already starting to creep back up. The increase would continue steadily until 2018. But that wasn't the point. No matter how much prices rose, Cole had no intention of flipping houses. The returns looked good, but it tied up a huge amount of capital. And who had ever heard of a house flipper making more money than an internet entrepreneur? The key was urgent sale for emigration. This kind of seller was in a hurry and wanted cash. If he played his cards right, he could negotiate a huge discount. This was a chance for some quick money. After graduating from his 2-bit college in his past life, Cole had worked as a real estate agent. He had been doing well, too, until he got caught up in an idealistic romance and blew everything up. The man inside continued, "I'm not signing an exclusive contract, so you can stop trying to persuade me. I need to sell fast. I'm only selling for 2 days. After that, I'm leaving the country. I'll only accept a one-time, full payment. If it doesn't sell in 2 days, I'll just forget about it. I've also listed it online," he added. "Whoever sells it fastest gets the deal." Cole suddenly interjected, "Which complex is your apartment in? I could rent or buy, as long as the place is right. My family would support it." The middle-aged man turned to look at Cole, his eyes a mixture of doubt and curiosity. But he answered anyway, "The Golden Bay Residences. It's a 3-bedroom. Are you looking for a mortgage or a cash purchase?" Cole pretended to think for a moment. "A 3-bedroom, huh? I'd probably need a mortgage for that." The Golden Bay Residences wasn't far, but he didn't know the specifics. Getting the name of the complex was enough. The owner said he'd posted it on Craigslist. Cole would find the listing online when he got back and contact him directly. Asking in front of the agent was a bad move. "A mortgage won't work. I can only accept a lump sum payment," the man said, disappointment showing on his face. Cole also put on a look of regret, though inwardly he was ecstatic. He quickly made his excuses to the agent and ran back to his dorm. Cole ran until he was drenched in sweat, bursting into the dorm and immediately firing up his computer to search Craigslist. There it was, the first listing. The Golden Bay Residences, 22nd floor elevator building, 1270 SQ. FD. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, asking price $125,000. Available for viewing anytime. Contact Mr. Chun. The price was just over $98 per square foot, which was about the market rate at the time. The seller's desperation to cash out meant there was absolutely massive room for negotiation. But Cole had to be fast. After the government's market controls in the first half of the year, the market had gone cold. A lot of people were in wait-and-see mode. For Cole, that hesitation was his opportunity. Otherwise, the competition would be fierce. At best, he wouldn't be able to talk the price down. At worst, it could even go up. No seller was an idiot. Cole quickly dialed the number from the webpage. It rang twice and was picked up. "Hello, who is this?" The voice was the same as the middle-aged man from the agency. "Hello, I saw your listing online, and I'm interested in seeing the property," Cole said in a calm, even tone. "You saw my conditions, right? It has to be a full cash payment." "I saw that. I could do a cash payment, but I'd like to see the place first." "All right, when you want to see it? I'm only selling for 2 more days. How about tonight? Is that convenient?" "It is. Be at Building C at 8 o'clock. "Okay, see you at 8. Could you give me your number?" "The one online is a burner." "Okay, see you at 8. Could you give me your number?" "The one online is a burner." It's 5:55. After hanging up, Cole began to plot his negotiation strategy for the evening. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. The fresh-faced freshmen were returning from their first day of classes. The moment he walked in, Preston started complaining. "What did you run off to this afternoon? It's the first day of general ed classes, and you already skipped? You've got some nerve." "Went to check on the renovation at my tea shop," Cole replied distractedly, his mind already on the apartment. "Tea shop?" Preston paused, then let out a laugh. "You mean you're opening a tea shop?" "Yeah. Is that so strange?" Cole answered, still planning his next move. Preston looked at him incredulously. "Do you have any idea how much it costs to open a tea shop?" "I do. The total investment should be around $30,000. Cole had done the math carefully. $30,000. Preston dragged out the last word, his eyes wide. He shook his head, a look of "who are you kidding?" on his face. "Do you know how much money that is?" "I do," Cole smirked. It seemed Preston's rich kid complex was acting up again. 30 grand is a thick stack of cash. Even my dad wouldn't give me that much. "That's because you're not opening a tea shop. If he gave it to you, you just use it to buy more flyers to hand out." Cole chuckled. Preston shook his head fiercely. "I don't believe you. You definitely snuck off to an internet cafe while we were in class. I'm telling you the truth, and you don't believe me." "Nothing I can do about that," Cole said with a helpless shrug. "Nope, absolutely not. Even I can't afford to open a tea shop." Preston turned his head away and wagged his finger, looking for a second like a martial arts master. "That's you," Cole said, shifting his position to flash the brand-new Casio G-Shock on his left wrist. He pretended to check the time. "I'm different. When I make a move, I make it big." He hadn't worn the watch until today, for his trip to the wholesale market. It immediately caught Frank's eye. Frank had been in much better spirits since his epiphany and was no longer playing dead. He walked over excitedly and took a closer look at Cole's wrist. What kind of watch is that? It looks cool. It's a Casio G-Shock Frogman. The voice belonged to Javi, who leaned over Frank's shoulder and recognized it instantly. Frank looked at Javi, surprised. How do you know that? Dude, I'm from Florida. The area is full of dive resorts. I've seen people wear these, Javi said, annoyed that Frank had forgotten where he was from. Preston craned his neck from behind them, feeling that getting too close would diminish his rich kid status. He said sourly, Casio is just okay. It's not a high-end brand. No one paid him any attention. Frank examined it from every angle. This must have cost a few $100, right? The style is really nice. The face is cool. Is it actually waterproof? It's over $800. It's a dive watch. What do you think? Javi's eyes were also shining. Sports watches had a huge following, mainly because they were so versatile. Whoa, over 800. Frank was stunned, his eyes glued to the watch, as if he wanted to rip it off and put it on himself. For a wealthy person, $800 was nothing, but for the vast majority of students, it was a lot of money. You're bluffing. No way that watch costs over $800, Preston said, unable to sit still any longer. He came over to see for himself. He didn't even own a watch that expensive. How could Cole, from a normal family, possibly afford one? Impossible. Sometimes they go for close to $1,000. They're mostly for divers, so they don't make a lot of them, Javi added. This knowledgeable assist was exactly what Cole wanted. He gave Javi a mental thumbs up. Frank clicked his tongue. That looks badass. You could definitely pick up girls with that. Your parents actually bought it for you. Nope, Cole said coolly. A girl gave it to me. His sister was a girl. He wasn't wrong. Bull. What kind of girl gives someone an $800 watch? Preston was green with envy. He secretly Googled it on his phone and saw that it was, in fact, a real model. Then, as if he'd remembered something, a look of I found the truth spread across his face. You definitely lied about your tuition and fees. I used to do that all the time in middle school. I'm impressed, Cole said, giving him a genuine thumbs up. He'd thought of that trick before, but with his mom being a teacher, it was a non-starter. I knew it, Preston said, his psychological balance instantly restored. If a girl had really given it to him, that would have been too much to bear. Carried away by the moment, he declared boldly, if a girl really gave you that watch, I'll buy you lunch from the cafeteria for 3 days. Anything you want. Forget it, Cole waved his hand. There was no way to prove it, and it was a pointless bet. Preston just chuckled. Having seen enough, the others went back to their own business. A little while later, Javi, who had been chatting on his phone, walked over excitedly. Can I use your computer for a sec? I want to check out Face Power. I heard there's a campus queen battle going on. It's supposed to be epic. Sure, go ahead, Cole said, giving up his seat. Preston and Frank, hearing the words campus queen, lit up and hurried over to see what was going on. Cole, being the old lek that he was of course also interested in this so-called campus queen battle. They updated the site recently, Javi said, a repressed, giddy look on his face. They added the top 3 from a few of the nearby universities. It's a gift from the heavens. Face Power was purely a campus beauty pageant website. The homepage featured photos of the top girls from various schools, along with some basic personal information. The page was divided into sections: Eastwood University, Eastwood Tech, College of Finance, College of Media. The first section was Eastwood University, with 5 photos. Serena's picture was there, a candid side-profile shot of her walking. Judging by the angle, it was a candid shot. She looked like a girl who had walked straight out of an anime. Cool and proud. In this era, there were no beauty filters. What you saw was what you get. Not like in the future, where the internet was full of photo frauds. Her vote count was 1,339. Another picture was of Cora from the business school. It was a carefully posed headshot. Her vote count was 5,260, the highest. There were 2 others Cole didn't recognize, and he thought they were just average. They were clearly posed shots. They're all probably just getting their friends to vote for them, he thought. Only the 5th picture surprised him. The girl in this photo had her hand up, blocking her face, clearly showing her objection to being photographed. Judging by her clothes, it was unmistakably Luna. Her vote count was 0. A photo with 0 votes and no clear view of the face was somehow still on the leaderboard. It was all thanks to a small note below the picture. Absolute potential campus queen, awaiting a front-facing picture. Looking at the webpage, Cole's mind was on other things. The person who had made this website was a junior, which meant he would be looking for an internship this year. Cole needed to get a website for his own tea brand built soon. This could be an opportunity to connect. That Serena girl is really pretty. Too bad she dumped you, Preston said, shaking his head with a look of pity for Cole. He recognized her as the girl who had been feeding Cole water on the field. Cole just chuckled. I've already played with the campus queen's hands and feet, he thought. Am I bragging about it? Soon, I'll be eating from her pretty white foot. Am I going to tell you guys about it? A 32-year-old master did things with one principle in mind: keep a low profile. The three of them started speculating about the fifth picture, wondering what kind of looks could justify a spot on the leaderboard with 0 votes. As Javi clicked on the Eastwood Tech section, all three of them let out a collective gasp. Whoa, Cole, isn't that your sister? The one who came to our dorm. Cole saw it too. It was the first picture. She was pointing a finger at the person taking the photo, her face a mask of fury. Below it, the caption read, Jasmine Young, Jr., Business Administration, 21. Compared to the other 4 candidates with their beaming smiles, Jasmine's vote count was the highest by a landslide. 11,348 votes, more than 3,000 ahead of second place. The other girls were 1 sophomore and 3 freshmen. Cole took a careful look at the other 4 and felt that his sister's top spot was well-deserved. Still, he felt a bit annoyed seeing her picture online like this. The same went for Serena, and it would be best if Luna's picture was taken down too. Being featured on a site like this wasn't a good thing, and knowing his sister's temper, she probably cursed out the photographer on the spot. Cole, how come your sister's last name is Young? Frank asked, confused. She probably took her mom's last name. Obviously, Preston said with an air of you don't even know that. The three of them looked from Cole to the picture of Jasmine on the screen. Frank couldn't help but say, you two look nothing alike. What do you mean? Cole gestured to his own face. I think we look pretty similar. Frank shook his head with a pout. You don't look alike at all. Your sister is 10 times better looking than you. 10 times? Cole's face darkened. Can't you be a little more diplomatic? Yeah. 10 times, Javi and Preston both nodded in agreement. Cole let out a cold laugh to save face. But he quickly found a way to console himself. So what if she's 10 times better looking? I've already touched the number 1 campus queen all over. Am I going to tell you that? When I was a kid, I even drank her. Ahem. Man, this is so upsetting. I'll have to get my sister to take me for a bike ride to cheer me up. After a few seconds of silence, the three of them looked at Cole with strange expressions. Could it be that they aren't really siblings? And if they aren't, holy crap, the same thought occurred to all three of them. It's better if they are siblings. Otherwise, this is just too depressing. What are you all looking at me like that for? Realize you were blind before and underestimated my good looks. Cole showed off his tanned face from multiple angles. Fuck off, the three of them said in unison, though they found his phrasing pretty funny. They continued to scroll down. Cole watched for a bit, then lost interest. The other girls were nothing compared to his sister. He smacked his lips, his mind already on the 8 o'clock apartment viewing. All right, I need the computer. With some time to kill, Cole needed to get a few things ready. The three of them reluctantly moved away. Cole logged onto the Rockford City Property Records website and downloaded a standard boilerplate for a residential sales contract. He then plugged in a USB drive he had bought but never used. In this era, USB drives had tiny storage capacities, but it was more than enough for a contract file. He unplugged the USB drive, grabbed his shop's lease agreement, and headed off campus. He found a print shop and printed out the contract, grabbing a few extra blank sheets of A4 paper while he was at it. Then he went to a nearby stationery store and bought 2 pens, an ink pad, and a standard receipt book. His battle tools were assembled. He put everything in a file folder and started walking toward the Golden Bay residences. He checked the map. It wasn't far. He had probably passed by it many times in his past life, but he no longer remembered. 8 o'clock in the evening. When Cole arrived at Building C of the Golden Bay residences, he found that Mr. Chen was already waiting. This was a good sign. It further confirmed the seller's urgency. Seeing Cole, Mr. Chen was taken aback. Then a look of annoyance crossed his face. Didn't you say you needed a mortgage? I made it very clear it has to be a cash payment. Are you just here to waste my time? Mr. Chen, I can make a cash payment. You know how it is, Cole said with a smile. Why don't we go up and talk while we look at the apartment? Mr. Chen hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Fine, let's talk and look. They chatted on their way up to apartment 2201. When Mr. Chen opened the door, Cole saw that the layout was excellent. It was a corner unit with great cross-ventilation and a large balcony. The renovations were quite nice for the time. As they talked, Mr. Chen's initial skepticism turned to trust, mainly because of Cole's shop lease agreement. It proved that the young man in front of him had a genuine reason to buy a property. Cole, I lived in this apartment myself. You can tell from the renovations. The layout is great, too. The moment I listed it 2 days ago, I've had tons of people asking to see it. Mr. Chen began, praising his property to shut down any attempt at negotiation. To be honest with you, Mr. Chun, even if I buy this place, it's just a temporary solution. When I graduate and get married, I'll definitely buy a new house. I'm mainly interested because it's so close to the university, Cole said with a calm, slight smile. A flicker of something passed through Mr. Chen's eyes. He followed Cole's lead. That's right, it's close to the university. Even if you don't live here yourself, you could rent it out to students from the area. The rental income is very good. I was originally planning to rent it out myself, but it's just too much hassle. Cole remained non-committal, not taking the bait. He just wandered around, looking here and there. After a while, he suddenly asked, Mr. Chen, what day is your flight? The question caught Mr. Chen off guard. Why is he asking that? He thought, does he think I'm not really leaving the country? He didn't overthink it and answered directly. The day after tomorrow, in the middle of the night. Cole nodded. He walked slowly toward the balcony, a look of conflict on his face. For me, it's a little big. My family won't be coming to live here. Big is good. It means it's spacious. And with the cross breeze, we don't even have to turn on the AC in the living room in the summer, Mr. Chin said, following him out onto the balcony, a hint of impatience in his eyes. The truth was his apartment had been on the market for days with no takers. It was only in the last 2 days that he had decided on an urgent sale. How about this, Mr. Chun? Cole said, turning to face him. Give me your rock-bottom price. If I can accept it, I'll talk to my family and we can lock this down. The look in his eyes said, I just need one final push to make a decision. This was an all-in move. The man was emigrating, not planning to return, and his departure was imminent. All things considered, he only had tomorrow to get the paperwork done. The price had to be slashed, dramatically. When it came time to talk numbers, Mr. Chen's pupils constricted ever so slightly, but he kept his composure. My price is already very fair. If you're serious about buying, the most I can do is knock off a couple thousand. Let's say 122. 122,000? Cole shook his head. That's the current market rate. And you're demanding an all-cash offer. Even if I were getting a mortgage, I couldn't accept that price. Just as Mr. Chen was about to argue, Cole cut him off. You know as well as I do, with interest rates climbing, home prices have stalled. They're more likely to drop. If I buy at this price, I might as well just buy new construction. In the current climate, talking about a housing market dip was a viable strategy. It wasn't like it would be in 4 or 5 years, when prices would be on a steady, arrogant climb, and every seller would act like a king. Sinking this much cash into a property right now, I'd be better off just renting. A nice 2-bedroom goes for, what, less than $1,500 a month. That's only $18,000 a year. I could open another whole shop with the rest of that money. Cole's tone was sincere, as if he were genuinely weighing the pros and cons, not just trying to lowball the man. Mr. Chen's eyes flickered. Of course he knew about the market cooling. It was precisely why he was in such a hurry to sell. The possibility of waiting for the price to rise was far less appealing than cashing out now and getting on with his life. He simply couldn't afford to wait. Even if the price did go up a little, was he really going to fly back just to handle the paperwork? The profit wouldn't even cover the plane ticket. His voice lost some of its conviction. Renting is never as secure as owning your own place. Cole smiled inwardly, but kept his expression earnest. Mr. Chun, 90,000. I can make that decision right now. He didn't bother with a coy, I'll tell you what I'm thinking, and you see if you can accept it. He went straight for the gut punch, designed to throw the man off balance, even if it angered him. As expected, Mr. Chen's face darkened, a hint of fury in his voice. That's impossible. 90,000? No way. I'd rather not sell at all. But his feet remained planted on the floor. Cole's heart gave a little leap. The man was conflicted. Otherwise, he would have shown him the door. Mr. Chun, I can genuinely pay all cash. My family will support me, but they won't support me buying a place at full market price. I'm sure no one else would, either. Mr. Chun shook his head firmly, refusing. Cole put on a pained expression, finally sighing with regret. Well, if it can't be done, it can't be done. You have to understand, for 90 grand, I could open 3 more shops. It's not a great time to buy a house anyway. I'm young. Maybe after graduation, I'll just move to New York and try my luck there. No, 90,000 is too low. Mr. Chun was still shaking his head. If I can't sell it, I'll just rent it out and sell it when I come back. Mr. Chun, I hear the economy over in the States is booming, incredible GDP growth. The housing market over there won't wait for you. Cole guessed the man was immigrating to America. It was a common dream back then. Mr. Chin's eyes flickered again, and he avoided Cole's gaze. Seeing this, Cole knew he had him. He feigned a moment of deliberation, gritting his teeth as if making a painful concession. I'll add 5,000 more. 95,000. That's my absolute final offer. That's almost 100,000 U.S. dollars. You know real estate prices in the States are climbing. With the way their economy is growing, that money will be worth a fortune in 2 years. In some parts of America, condos cost millions. But in some immigrant communities, you could find a nice apartment for 300,000 or 400,000. And if you went to a more rural area, you could get a detached house for less than 100 grand. Cole was betting that's exactly what Mr. Chun was planning. He had to gamble. Sure enough, a flicker of movement in Mr. Chen's face, combined with the look in his eyes, confirmed Cole's suspicion. When you hit on something a person is fixated on, their mind instinctively goes there. Time waits for no one. Cole pressed, adding more fuel to the fire. By the time you come back to sell this place, even if the price has gone up a few thousand, like you said, it's not even worth the airfare. But in the States, prices won't just go up by a few thousand, and it'll be in dollars. For someone who had already decided to immigrate, this argument was a powerful one. When framed that way, the decision became much easier. The room fell silent. Cole waited patiently. After several long minutes, Mr. Chin spoke. I need the money immediately. I can't wait. No problem. Cole suppressed a surge of triumph. I came prepared. I even brought a contract. The cash is in my account. I can give you a $5,000 deposit right now. We can handle the paperwork tomorrow. He showed the man his document folder. A muscle in Mr. Chen's cheek twitched. A flicker of struggle crossed his eyes, but he suppressed it, adopting a tone that let him save face. Fine, let's sign. If it weren't such a hassle to come back, I'd never sell it like this. You're not losing out, you're winning, Cole said, giving the man a ladder to climb down. Your investment is in America now. You'll make this back in no time. He pulled the contract out of his folder and continued in a casual tone. Tomorrow, instead of a direct title transfer, let's go to a notary and execute a full power of attorney. Once that's notarized, we'll go to the bank and I'll wire you the balance. I'm not planning on putting the house in my name, he explained. It'll go under my mom's name eventually. I'll be buying a new place for myself in a few years, and you know how it is with the first-time buyer benefits. This was a perfectly believable excuse, given the tax implications of owning multiple properties. Mr. Chun nodded in understanding. As long as he got his money, the method of transfer didn't matter. Besides, a notarization was faster than a full title transfer. He went into the bedroom and retrieved the deed. They signed a contract right then and there. Cole had even typed up a supplementary clause on 2 sheets of A4 paper detailing the power of attorney agreement, as well as a stipulation that all furnishings and appliances were to be left behind. It was only from the deed that Cole learned Mr. Chen's full name, Mark Chun. As they were signing, Mark Chun remarked with a sigh, "You're so young, Cole, but you know quite a bit." I just like to keep up with the news, do a little thinking on my own. It's nothing, really, Cole said, his humble tone belying his thoughts. We don't have the opportunity. Otherwise, we'd love to go try our luck in America, too. Seems like you could just pick money off the trees over there. The comment soothed Mark Chen's ego. Being able to go to America was a status symbol, something not just anyone could do. After the contract was signed, they went downstairs together. Cole, not minding the inconvenience, went to 3 different ATMs to withdraw $5,000 in cash for the deposit. He even thoughtfully walked Mr. Chun back to the entrance of the building, concerned about him carrying that much cash. Before leaving, Cole added a final instruction. Mr. Chun, now that we have a deal, please don't take any more calls from real estate agents for the next couple of days. And take down the online listing. If anyone calls, just tell them it's been sold. I won't go around telling people the price we agreed on. Marchin nodded. Now that it was done, less hassle was better. More importantly, the contract included a penalty clause. If either party backed out, they have to pay 5 times the deposit. He was just as worried that Cole might get cold feet, especially since he needed the cash so urgently. They had both pressed their thumbprints onto that clause, making it ironclad evidence in court. Cole hummed a cheerful tune as he walked back to his dorm. He had no intention of flipping the apartment for a high price. A quick, profitable sale was all he wanted. It was a fair return for his effort. Everyone got what they needed. Who else would have made a decision like that in a single day and paid all cash in this market? The next day, Cole, feeling a little guilty, called in sick again, using his gastritis as an excuse. In the morning, he and Mr. Chun got the power of attorney notarized, setting the maximum term of 2 years. Then they went to the bank, and Cole wired the rest of the money. The deal was done. That evening at 6, he officially took possession of the apartment. Mark Chin's wife and son were already in the States, so he had no lingering ties, which was one of the reasons Cole had been confident enough to make his gamble. After Mr. Chin left, Cole stood on the balcony, looking down at the bustling street below and the Eastwood University campus in the distance. A strange sense of satisfaction washed over him. Having cash was a powerful thing. He could just decide to buy something, and it was his. As for the apartment, he could sell it whenever he needed the capital. The market would continue to rise, albeit slowly. Worst case, he could sell it for what he paid and still clear a profit of over $20,000 after factoring in the low purchase price, enough to recover the entire startup cost of his tea shop. If he didn't need to sell, he could transfer the title to his name and keep it. A place in a location this good would make a great company dorm in the future. But opportunities like this were rare. This time, he just gotten lucky. For the next 2 days, Cole's gastritis miraculously cleared up, and he diligently attended his classes. The first semester general education courses were important, not just for the credits, but for building a solid theoretical foundation. Okay, the real reason was that his calculus professor had called on him during roll call and asked pointedly about his health. The look in the professor's eyes clearly said, "You'd better be in class." At Eastwood Tech, Jasmine was at dance practice. A business management major, she had taken dance as an elective and was now the captain of a jazz dance team within the Maplewood Dance Society. She had a modern jazz performance scheduled for the upcoming welcome gala for new students. The entire team of 7 girls was dressed in shorts, their t-shirts tied in knots to reveal toned midriffs. Jasmine's figure was particularly striking, with a perfect waist-to-hip ratio. "Jasmine, can I talk to you for a second?" In the middle of practice, Leah, the vice president of the dance society, walked into the rehearsal room. A tall, handsome guy followed close behind her. Jasmine stopped the music and signaled for her team to take a break. Grabbing her towel, she wiped the sweat from her brow and asked, "What's up?" "So, the School of Arts has a performance, but one of their dancers sprained her ankle. She probably won't be able to go on stage," Leah said with a smile. "There aren't many students who are also proficient in Latin dance, so they were hoping you could help out and fill in as his partner to finish the performance." Before Jasmine could respond, the handsome guy next to her flashed a sunny smile. "Hi, I'm a sophomore from the School of Arts. My name is Dylan. I wouldn't be asking, but we're really in a bind." To get into the School of Arts, Dylan was undeniably handsome, tall and lean, and his bright smile was a major asset. He had long admired Eastwood Tech's #1 campus beauty. Of course, he'd also heard her notorious nickname, the Tyrannosaurus Belle. He'd never had a chance to get close to her, and everyone said she had a strange personality. Plenty of freshmen and upperclassmen had been shot down trying to ask her out. Dylan couldn't imagine how the girl in front of him, with her incredible figure and stunning face, could have earned such a fierce moniker. He'd seen her leading her team in performances before and thought she seemed quite elegant, even soft-spoken. The nickname baffled him. "I'm really sorry, but we haven't even finished rehearsing our own routine. I'm afraid I don't have time to practice another dance," Jasmine replied with a polite smile. She genuinely didn't have the time. After the university-wide welcome gala, there would be smaller welcome events for each department in a month or 2. As a member of the School of Business, she also had to choreograph a dance for the girls in her own department. "It's a really simple routine," Dylan pressed, his eyes twinkling as he laid on the flattery. "With your dance skills, it won't take you any time at all." Jasmine thought for a moment, then shook her head again. "I can't fit it in. It would be too exhausting, and if I'm not at my best, I'll just mess up the performance." Juggling too many routines was draining, mentally more than physically. She took dance classes for her own enjoyment and to stay in shape, not to complete tasks for others. Dylan put on a pitiful expression, his tone bordering on a plea. "Please? Can you just help us out? I'm out of options. I've asked other people, but their technique isn't quite there, and it's hard to coordinate with a new partner on short notice." A tall, handsome guy acting pitiful and vulnerable had a powerful effect on most girls. Dylan was well aware of this and had extensive practical experience. It was his ultimate weapon. He was confident that almost no girl could resist it. As he watched Jasmine's face, he could almost picture her eyes starting to sparkle. Instead, he saw her brow furrow into a deep line. "I'm sorry, I really can't help. You should try to find someone else. Eastwood Tech is a big campus. I can't be the only one," Jasmine said, refusing him yet again. Now Dylan was getting frustrated. This wasn't going according to plan. How could this be happening? He shot a desperate look at Leah. Leah gave Jasmine a pointed look. "Jasmine, come here. Let me talk to you for a second." It was hard to refuse the vice president, so Jasmine followed her out into the hallway. "Jasmine, see if you can squeeze in some time just to get through this one," Leah whispered. "I know it's a lot to ask, but think of it as doing a favor for the Dance Society. The School of Arts has a lot of resources. We're always short on paid performance opportunities. If they could throw some our way in the future, our funding problems would be solved." The School of Arts often had connections for fashion shows, hosting gigs and theater productions, which sometimes included dance interludes. After hearing this, Jasmine looked down and considered it. It was true. The funding they got from the school was never enough. Seeing Jasmine hesitate, Leah pressed her advantage. Jasmine, just this once. Please. Fine, Jasmine agreed. But just this once? And the next paid gig they have goes to my team. She figured a group dance wouldn't require as much precision. As long as they were in sync, it would be fine. She was selling a favor to the dance society to create an opportunity for her own team. No problem. The School of Arts already said they'd include us in their next event, Leah said, her face lighting up. Back in the rehearsal room, Dylan was smiling and chatting with the other dancers, basking in the attention. Just then, Jasmine and Leah walked back in. Dylan approached them expectantly, his eyes sincere as he waited for Jasmine's answer. What kind of dance is it, exactly? Jasmine asked. Leah had mentioned Latin, but she wanted to confirm the specifics. She agreed. Dylan was thrilled. It's a fiery Latin jazz number, a duet called Fuego Caliente. With your skill, you'll nail it. And with you as my partner, I'm confident we can win an award. But he saw Jasmine's face fall, and she shook her head decisively. Then I'm sorry, but I can't help you with that dance. The look of ecstatic surprise froze on Dylan's face. What? Why not now? Jasmine, didn't you just agree? Leah was also stunned. She just said yes. I did, Jasmine said firmly. But I thought it was a group dance. If it's a duet, especially one like that, absolutely not. I can't do it. You'll have to find someone else. Fuego Caliente was an intensely romantic dance, full of all the intimate moves one could imagine. Why not? Dylan was starting to panic. The prize was about to slip through his fingers. Jasmine shook her head, waving her hand dismissively. No. I can't dance that. My little brother would kill me. My little brother would kill me. Dylan was bewildered. What kind of reason was that? Since when could a little brother tell his older sister what dances she could or couldn't do? Unwilling to give up, he tried to reason with her patiently. Just talk to your brother. I'm sure he's a reasonable guy. Leah was just as confused. A strong-willed person like Jasmine needing her brother's permission for something? It made no sense. Unless he wasn't just a brother. But everyone who knew Jasmine knew she had never had a boyfriend. Still, Leah couldn't challenge her directly, so she played along. Jasmine, can you just talk to your brother? Explain the situation to him. Seeing they wouldn't let it go, Jasmine pursed her lips, walked over to her phone on a nearby chair, and checked the time. His class should be over. She dialed his number right in front of them and put on speaker. It rang twice before he picked up. Dylan and Leah leaned in, curious to see just how domineering this little brother could be, that he even controlled his sister's dancing. A rich, mellow male voice came through the speaker. Hey, what's up? I have to ask you if you'll let me do something, Jasmine said, a sparkle in her eyes. Even though she knew Cole would say no, she wanted to hear how he would say it. What is it? You know the welcome gala is coming up? There's a dance for the School of Arts, but one of the dancers got hurt, and they want me to fill in. A dance? What kind of dance? It's a Latin jazz duet, Fuego Caliente. She was cut off before she could finish. The voice from the phone suddenly shot up an octave, full of dramatic exasperation. A duet? Latin? Don't even think about it. You're not allowed. From now on, you don't even have to consider doing duets. Oh, okay. I get it. Jasmine spread her hands in a gesture of helplessness. After hanging up, she said, see, he's completely against it. The exchange left Dylan and Leah utterly dumbfounded. Who has a brother like that? Can't you try to convince him? Dylan was desperate, playing his final card, his real-world influence. If you can help me out, I'll take care of your internship. My family owns an advertising agency, Apex Advertising. It's pretty well known, even in New York. I can get you a spot in the marketing department. He's right, Jasmine, Leah chimed in. Apex Advertising is a big deal. You can look it up online. A resume with that on it would be a huge boost for your career. I'm sorry. I've made myself clear. The answer is no, Jasmine said, turning him down flat. It's not just that my brother won't agree. I can't do it either. That's final. With that, she turned and walked back to her group of friends, leaving Dylan and Leah staring at each other. Realizing it was useless to press further, they left. Once they were around the corner, out of earshot, Leah said with a sigh, sorry, I couldn't help you. That's just how Jasmine is. Once she says no, it's a done deal. You should just stick with your original partner. Ah, so high and mighty, Dylan sneered, his ego bruised after his foolproof tactics failed. He resorted to a sour grapes mentality to feel better. She thinks she's too good for a company like Apex. She'll regret that when she's looking for a job after graduation. Back in the rehearsal room, a short-haired girl who had been tapping away on her phone walked over to Jasmine, pulling her toward the window. Jasmine, she whispered, since when do you have a little brother? I've always had one, Jasmine replied. The girl, Alex, had a more androgynous style and was probably Jasmine's only real best friend. They knew almost everything about each other. Aren't you an only child? A god brother is still a brother. A god brother? Wait, yeah, he's my god brother, but I've held him in my arms since the day he was born. You, Jasmine, don't tell me you have a brother complex? Alex's jaw dropped as if she'd uncovered a massive secret. No wonder Jasmine never dated. She had that kind of fixation. No, it was an illness. A psychological one. Do I? I don't know, Jasmine said, a flicker in her eyes. She would never admit it, but her non-answer was as good as a yes. But that Dylan guy is younger than you, too, and he's so handsome. You're not tempted at all. Alex teased. How can you even compare them? My little brother is the only real little brother, Jasmine retorted without a second thought, completely unaware that she had just provided more evidence for her brother complex. Alex pursed her lips. It was a textbook case, terminal stage. She couldn't help but be curious about this mysterious little brother. At Eastwood University, walking to the dining hall, Cole muttered to himself, wondering what kind of creep wanted to get Jasmine to dance a duet with him. He just looked up the style. Was it something people could just dance together? All that waist-holding and leg-touching. He'd never liked Latin dance unless the partners were a couple. He made a mental note to tell Jasmine to stick with jazz and forget all about Latin. The dining hall for the School of Economics was called the Oakwood Commons. The food was varied, cheap, and surprisingly good. Among the 4 roommates, Cole had the biggest appetite. He got 2 meat dishes, a vegetable, a soup, and 2 extra braised drumsticks. The cafeteria's drumsticks were marinated to perfection, and he loved them. His only complaint was that they weren't spicy enough. His 3 roommates had already saved the table. Preston had the smallest appetite, claiming he needed to eat clean to maintain his figure, but you could hear his stomach rumbling in the middle of the night. Their tastes were all over the place. Preston and Javier couldn't handle any spice, while Frank, from Maine, could only tolerate a little bit. As they were eating, Cole spotted a familiar figure. It was Luna, along with her roommates. The Oakwood Commons was close to the accounting department's dorms, but Cole had never run into her here before. He figured she usually ate early and left. This was the first time. Hey, look over there. That outfit. Ring any bells? Frank nudged the others, pointing in Luna's direction. All 3 of them looked over, and their eyes lit up. That face was breathtaking. How had they not noticed her before? Don't remember the clothes, but she's gorgeous. Wonder what class she's in, Preston said. You don't remember? It's the girl from Face Power. The one with 0 votes, Frank whispered. Holy crap. You're right. That's the same t-shirt. She's a goddess. Way better than that Cora girl, like 10 times better. More than 10 times. You think I could get her number if I went over there? The 3 of them whispered excitedly, their eyes following Luna. At another table, Cora and her friends were also watching Luna walk by. Girls were always more observant, especially when it came to potential rivals. Is that the 0-vote girl? Has to be. You won't find another outfit that tacky on campus. Her face is okay, one girl started to say, but another quickly nudged her under the table. Actually, it's just average. Nowhere near as pretty as Cora's. The girl quickly corrected herself. Her overall vibe is just off. Cora's family was well off, making her the unspoken leader of their group. Her friends knew they'd have to rely on this connection in the future. It was only after Luna had passed their table and was walking toward the food counter that Cora looked away, remarking coolly, "It has nothing to do with us. We should just focus on ourselves. It's not her fault she dresses like that." The competition between girls was 100 times more intense than between guys. Looks, figure, fashion, they compared everything. Guys rarely had anxiety about their appearance. Their main competition was usually athletics. You might have more money than me, but I can school you in basketball. Hey, I win. The girls' voices weren't loud, but they weren't exactly discreet either. They hadn't used any names, so who could call them out? The dining hall was relatively quiet, and their high-pitched voices carried. Even Cole, who was focused on his food, heard them. Others might not have known who they were talking about, but the phrase, "another outfit that tacky," made it clear they meant Luna. Most students dressed simply, but not out of style. Luna's outfit, however, looked like it was from several years ago, a rare sight. Cole shot a cold glare at Cora's table, then looked toward Luna with a flicker of concern. If she heard that, it would crush her. He saw Luna's expression stiffen, and she started biting her lower lip. Her whole body was tense as she moved, her hands seeming to not know where to go. Cole knew that feeling of shame all too well. She had definitely heard them. Luna got her food first. Not daring to look in the direction of her critics, she scanned the other side of the hall for an empty table for three. Her eyes swept across the room and, in an instant, landed on a familiar face. He was looking right at her, a gentle smile on his lips. It was the first time she had ever run into Cole in the dining hall. The warmth in his gaze brought a surge of joy, and the crushing feeling of inferiority immediately receded. She wanted to go sit with him, but felt too shy, since she hadn't been invited. Just then, she saw Cole give a slight nod in her direction. Luna's heart settled. She said something to Brianna and Felicity behind her, and carried her tray toward Cole's table. The eyes of many students, both male and female, followed Luna as she moved. Her face was just that striking, not just beautiful, but with flawless, radiant skin. She was tall and slender, too. The guys pretended to be cool, but inside they were screaming, "Come sit here. Come sit with me. I'd trade 10 years of my roommate's life for it." Frank was getting excited. Dude, she's coming this way." Preston sat up straighter, his eating posture instantly becoming more elegant as he dabbed his mouth with a napkin like a noble prince. Cole's table was a long rectangle next to a square pillar, with room for 8. They were currently occupying 4 seats, 2 on each side. Under their expectant gazes, the girl with the impossibly exquisite face actually stopped at their table. At other tables, a collective sigh of despair went up from the male population, followed by silent curses wishing digestive misfortune upon Cole and his friends. Preston and the others were thrilled, but they maintained a facade of nonchalance, as if they were above such worldly matters. Luna looked at the empty seats, then gently pulled out the chair next to Cole and sat down. Brianna sat across from her, and Felicity sat next to Luna. Envious, jealous, and hateful glares were directed at their table from all corners. Damn it, it's bad enough that he's handsome, but did he have to get a tan like a movie star too? Frank and the others were internally combusting, filled with regret that they hadn't switched seats with Cole. "Is that all you're eating?" Cole first checked Luna's complexion, which looked much better. Then he glanced at her plate, which held only a small serving of fries. He frowned. She was already so thin, and all she got was a side dish. She'd pass out from low blood sugar if she had to work. Luna looked down, her voice weak. "It's enough. I don't have to do much." The 3 roommates raised their eyebrows. Was Cole already making his move? If they'd known she was this easy to talk to, they would have tried. Preston, keeping his eyes forward, chewed slowly, maintaining his aristocratic air. "Eating light is better for you," he said coolly. "It's so humid in this city. It's not good to eat too much greasy food." He expected a nod of approval from the girl, but she completely ignored him. He felt a pang of awkwardness, but he'd already put on the elegant act and couldn't just drop it. Brianna looked from Luna to Cole with a strange expression. They didn't quite feel like a couple, but there was something more than friendship there. She decided to ignore it and focused on her food. Luna picked up a single fry and ate it in a small bite. Cole reversed his chopsticks, picked up one of his drumsticks, and placed it on Luna's plate. "Eat." Luna froze. The savory-smelling braised drumstick looked incredibly appetizing, and she subconsciously swallowed. Her face flushed red, and she looked at Cole, embarrassed. I can't eat that much," she whispered. Cole ignored her, then placed a dish of braised pork belly in front of her. "Eat up," he said in a tone that brooked no argument. "Give me the fries." Before Luna could say anything, he had taken her plate of fries and scraped them onto his own plate. He then passed his untouched bowl of soup to her. Luna didn't know what to do. She looked at the drumstick and the pork, wanting to eat them, but feeling too self-conscious. She looked at Cole again, flustered, but saw that he was already eating her fries as if it were the most natural thing in the world. If she didn't eat the chicken and pork, she would have nothing. Without even looking up, Cole chewed and commanded, "Eat all of it." This girl was clearly used to skimping on food. That wouldn't do. When the shop got busy, she would need her strength. "Okay," Luna whispered, her voice so soft it nearly melted into the air. Her voice was already childlike, and now it sounded even more so. She picked up the drumstick and took a careful bite, chewing slowly. It was delicious. Feeling several pairs of eyes on her, her face turned scarlet again. She didn't dare look up, keeping her head down as she ate silently. The earlier feelings of shame and self-consciousness had vanished. She had no time to worry about them now. Sitting next to Cole, her sense of security soared. Preston and the others stared, their food tasteless in their mouths as they poked at the rice on their plates. So this was how you hit on a girl. Why hadn't they thought of this? Look at him. Just met her, gives her his meat, and then takes her fries. He established a dominant, protective image with just a few dollars worth of food. And the best part? She accepted it. So that's how it's done. That's how it's done. They were enlightened. The three of them suddenly shed their dejection, their eyes gleaming with newfound knowledge. Preston shook his head slightly, thinking Cole's execution was a bit crude. He could have mixed in some tenderness with his assertiveness. A blend of hard and soft. That's how you truly capture a girl's heart. He felt a pang of jealousy. He should have been the one to offer his food. Brianna speared a piece of the braised pork. It was her roommate's, so it was fair game. Felicity followed suit. Luna, head still down, saw out of the corner of her eye that only 4 pieces were left. She felt a pang of protectiveness. Fearing her roommates would finish it all, she quickly picked up a piece and placed it on Cole's plate. Only after she'd done it did she remember she had already used those chopsticks. She felt a wave of embarrassment. Had she been too forward? But then she saw Cole pop the piece of pork directly into his mouth. He ate it. Luna felt her face burn, but her heart settled. She quickly lowered her head and continued eating. Just as Cole was about to finish his meal, a girl's voice came from the side. "Excuse me, can I get to know you?" Everyone at the table, except for Luna and Cole, looked up. It was Cora, but who was she talking to? Preston, naturally assuming it was him, flashed a warm smile. "Of course you can. I was talking to the student," Cora said, pointing directly at Cole. "Ugh." Preston's smile froze on his face. "Are you kidding me?" He tried to save face. "I know. I was answering for my roommate." He immediately buried his head in his plate, shoveling in the last few grains of rice. Nothing on earth could make him look up again. The others at the table couldn't help but snicker. Cole glanced at the girl who shared his last name. "My name's Cole. Can I help you with something?" This Cora girl was dressed fashionably and was reasonably attractive, but her face and eyes had a look of someone who had grown up too fast. "Can I get your messenger?" Cora asked with a confident smile, her eyes darting toward Luna. She remembered this guy. Another girl had been holding his arm the other day. She fully expected him to pull out his phone immediately. "No, thanks," Cole said flatly, as if turning down a telemarketer. He saw her right through a little game. She wasn't interested in him. She was trying to get a rise out of Luna. All this just because of campus beauty poll? She was so competitive, she couldn't pass up an opportunity to one-up a rival. But it was a wasted effort here. Luna was too innocent to understand any of it. She probably didn't even know she was on the list. Cole hated this kind of petty scheming, especially from someone so young. Who knew how many guys would fall for her act? Just like Preston, Cora's smile froze, her expression a mask of disbelief. A guy had actually refused to give her his contact info? Was that even possible? Did he not hear her correctly? She crossed her arms, asking again with an air of superiority. "Are you sure you heard what I just said?" "I heard you. You asked for my messenger." "I said no. Thanks," Cole replied with perfect earnestness. Cora's face turned an ugly shade. Then, she let out a forced laugh. "You don't really think I wanted your contact, do you?" "Sorry, it was just a bet with my roommates." She sighed and shook her head with a look that screamed, "This is hilarious," then turned and walked away. Her 3 friends gave Cole and Luna a complicated look before following her. At the table, everyone had a different expression. Brianna rolled her eyes and muttered under her breath, "TCH, what a poser." In her and Felicity's minds, Luna and Cole were a couple, and any hesitation on his part would have been a sign of disrespect. So far, Cole's response was satisfactory. Preston and the others, however, were indignant. Why was it always Cole? And the most outrageous part was that he had actually turned her down. They looked at Cole with a mixture of emotions. They all had the same tan. What made him so special? Luna continued to eat quietly, but her little ears had perked up. Another girl asking for Cole's contact didn't exactly make her unhappy, but hearing him refuse filled her with a strange little spark of joy. At the nearby tables, the guys who had witnessed the scene shot daggers with their eyes at Cole, trying to skewer him from across the room. Even though Cora hadn't succeeded, just being asked was a crime in their books. Preston and the other 2 finished their food and left. They couldn't bear to watch Cole sit there and slowly eat with the girl. "Every meal has to have meat in it. You hear me?" Cole instructed Luna before she left. "Okay, I hear you," Luna whispered, her eyes meeting his for a second before she quickly looked down again. Cole only had 2 classes that afternoon. Afterwards, he went to check on the renovation of his shop. He was chatting with the contractor when his Facebook Messenger pinged. "Serena, I just landed. Are you out of class?" Cole, "Yep." "Serena, let me buy you dinner tonight to make it up to you, okay?" Cole, "Not okay. Can I have something else to eat instead?" "Serena, what do you want to eat?" Cole smiled to himself. She was playing coy. "Cole, someone promised me something." "Serena, do I have to?" "Cole, you absolutely do." "Serena, your terrible sad face." Cole replied with a wicked grin, and delicious. "Serena, off?" You're so gross. She didn't reply after that. A moment later, her profile picture went gray. She had logged off. Cole figured she must be busy, so he chatted with the carpenter for a while longer. Then he bought himself an ice cream bar and, in high spirits, ambled back toward campus. Just as he was nearing his dorm, he ran into his 3 roommates. They were heading to the athletic field to hang out, so Cole decided to join them. The sound of music from a corner of the field immediately caught the attention of the 3 stooges. It was Cora and her roommates, along with a few other decent-looking girls, apparently rehearsing for some performance. His friends watched, mesmerized. Cole, however, was unimpressed. He'd seen it all before. He found an empty spot on the grass nearby and sat down. Serena had messaged him again, saying she'd be back on campus a little later and asking where he was. Without thinking much of it, Cole replied that he was on the athletic field, enjoying the view, and then opened his phone's browser to check the latest sale prices of nearby properties. One of the girls poked Cora and gestured with her chin toward Cole, who was looking around. Cora, look. Cora followed her gaze, and her face immediately fell. He's disgusting to look at, as if I'd actually want his contact. That's hilarious. He must regret it. He's hanging around hoping you'll ask again. One of her roommates chimed in. Exactly. Logically, who wouldn't give Cora their contact? She's the prettiest girl in the entire finance department. A smug smile appeared on Cora's lips. What's wrong? Another girl from the rehearsal group asked curiously. Nothing. Just saw a fake, disgusting person, Cora said with a look of weary resignation, as if she were being relentlessly pursued. Prompted by a whisper from Cora's roommate, the other girls understood. They were talking about the guy with the simple haircut who was kind of handsome. They assumed he had been trying to get close to Cora and was still pestering her despite being rejected multiple times. Cora, you should just tell him off so he doesn't think you're still giving him a chance, said a girl named Chloe. Forget it. I can't be bothered. With people like him, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, Cora said, her face a mask of disdain. In her mind, asking for his contact had just been a strategic move. A guy like Cole didn't even qualify for her list of potential suitors. Her messenger was already filled with ideal candidates, either handsome or from wealthy families. Thanks to the prestige from the campus beauty poll, plenty of upperclassmen were trying to get close to her. Just then, the attention of many students on the field shifted in one direction. Whoa, where did she come from? Look, it's a goddess. I'm in love. I'm in love. She's definitely not a finance major, or I'd know her. A slender, ethereal figure walked gracefully onto the field. A pink cartoon t-shirt made her already fair skin look even more radiant. A gray pleated skirt, paired with white ankle socks and small black leather shoes, radiated youthful energy. Her manga-like face and high ponytail, which danced as she moved, seemed to cast a spell, drawing the eyes of everyone present. Cora and her friends, of course, noticed her too. She definitely wasn't from the finance department. She looked a bit like the girl at the top of the face power list. A flash of jealousy crossed Cora's eyes. She didn't want to admit the other girl was prettier than her, but the truth was undeniable. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, the fairy-like girl slowed from a brisk walk to a slow stroll and finally began to tiptoe. She looked utterly adorable, but when they saw who she was approaching, the expressions on the guys' faces became priceless. Preston and the others looked on with strange expressions. Why was this girl here again? Hadn't she dumped Cole? Was she here to get back together with him? Preston thought, a sour taste in his mouth. When Cora saw that the girl was inching closer and closer to Cole, her face turned extremely sour. Just then, the girl reached out from behind, covered Cole's eyes with her hands, and said in a sweet, crisp voice, "Guess who?" Even without hearing the voice, Cole knew who it was. The scent of her small hands was too familiar. "You're here, my little adventurer." "Nope. Is it you, my little mermaid?" "Wrong again." "Oh, I know." "Know what?" "You're the boogeyman." "Humph. Omega. Guess again. Last chance." That soft, drawn-out whine nearly pulled the soul right out of Cole's body. She was doing her cute, little pouty voice again. He took a deep breath to steady himself before revealing the answer. "All right, you're the one and only, the universally adored Miss Serena." "Ah, you guessed it." Serena finally let go, and Cole could see again. The faces of the guys sitting nearby looked like they had just eaten something foul. If looks could kill, Cole would have died 800 times over. Frank was smacking his lips. Javier was blinking furiously. Preston was so sour his mouth was twisted. He mimicked Cole in a pouting voice. "My little mermaid. The boogeyman. I can't even watch this." Over on the other side, Cora's face was a storm cloud. A bitter feeling churned inside her. She compared herself to Serena over and over, and in the end, had to admit there was no comparison. She couldn't compete with her face, her figure, or that vibrant, youthful energy. Chloe, standing next to her, had a complicated expression. Even an idiot could see this guy wasn't here pestering Cora. He clearly had no need to, but she wouldn't let her friend lose face. "Let's get back to practice," she said. Cora's other roommates fell silent. There were no holes to poke in this story, no way to prop her up. "Cole, I'm hungry." "I only ate a little bit for lunch," Serena said, her eyes filled with the joy of a long-awaited reunion. Since she was wearing a skirt, it wasn't convenient for her to sit on the grass. Cole stood up and smiled. "Let's go to the food truck strip then. We'll eat our way from one end to the other. How about that?" "Okay, just like last time," Serena agreed happily. She loved the atmosphere of the food truck area. Under the gaze of countless complex emotions, they left the athletic field. "Are we still handing out flyers tonight?" Javier asked blankly. "Of course we are. The long march is already halfway done. We're about to achieve victory." Preston said fiercely. "We're halfway there." Javier's eyes were filled with doubt. "Because I feel like we haven't even started." "That's what you don't understand. We're just separated by a thin layer of paper now. One poke and it'll break." "You sure it's not made of steel?" "My wallet's getting pretty thin. I'm afraid my wallet will get a hole in it before the paper does." Preston fell silent. At a few dozen bucks a night, his wallet was also on the verge of being punctured. And on top of that, he had to stand there handing out flyers until his legs ached. It was nearly 6 in the evening, the time when students started to come alive. The tree-lined path leading to the campus gate was filled with the chatter and laughter of students. Guys pretended to be deep in conversation with their friends, while secretly stealing glances, their eyes full of hormones, at all the girls in shorts. Cole held a soft, smooth little hand, which did a good job of calming the hormonal turmoil inside him. He wanted to look at pretty legs too, but he didn't want other guys looking at Serena's. Serena walked with a light, bouncy step, occasionally skipping like a young deer let loose from its mother's side. She chattered on, telling Cole funny stories about her childhood with her grandfather. Cole listened intently, needing to be fully focused so he wouldn't forget details she'd told him before. The food truck strip was already bustling, with people coming and going. The air was thick with a variety of delicious smells that stir the appetite. They started with a skewer of grilled squid, each extra spicy. But to their seasoned palates, it was medium at best. They tried some braised duck neck and intestines, which were just okay. They avoided all pastries. Those just filled you up. They shared a bowl of beef noodle soup, which was a little greasy but tasted great. "You eat it." Serena held the last slice of beef up to Cole's lips. Cole ate in one bite, then grabbed a napkin to offer her. But instead, Serena tilted her chin up, her face clearly saying, "Wipe my mouth for me." Looking at her adorable, impish expression, Cole felt an invisible hand pluck at his heartstrings. He quickly suppressed the feeling, but as he wiped her mouth, his movements became incredibly gentle. The two of them were perfectly matched when it came to food. If one of them disliked something, the other was sure to dislike it too. They never had to tolerate different tastes for each other's sake. After they were full, they bought a cup of watermelon juice from a nearby stand and began to walk toward North Lake. Night was falling, and the path was crowded yet peaceful. This time, I didn't need an e-scooter. One side of Eastwood University bordered North Lake, and there was a popular spot called Waverly Point that students loved to visit. If you were lucky, you could find an empty bench by the water. Cole's sharp eyes spotted a couple getting up from a bench. He quickly pulled Serena over, and they claimed it. "Our luck is great tonight," Cole said with a grin. "My skirt flew up when you pulled me," Serena complained playfully. "Did it? Let me see." No, look at you, being so formal with me. I'm just helping you fix your skirt. I'll fix it myself. You'll just cause trouble. I'm hurt. Is that really what you think of me? You're the worst." They sat comfortably, gazing out at the lake, the sound of water lapping against the shore in their ears. The faint, fresh scent of the lake drifted by on the breeze, a soothing and invigorating smell. After sitting in silence for a while, Serena suddenly spoke in a soft voice. "I never wanted to give your love letter to the teacher. Do you believe me?" The letter had disappeared while in her possession. There was no way to explain it, so this was all she could say. The sudden question caught Cole off guard. Why was she bringing this up now? Thinking about her personality, he knew she wasn't like those arrogant, snobbish girls. "I believe you, but I never thought the teacher would make someone read it out loud. I was so nervous then, afraid of the embarrassment, but also afraid of you getting hurt. That was never my intention." Serena curled her legs up on the bench, hugging her knees as she stared at the lake, her eyes soft and misty. "I know you must have been angry." Cole let out a quiet sigh. He had been a little angry back then, but since he had a second chance, it didn't matter anymore. Still, he answered honestly. I was a little. Serena turned to look at him, a hint of apology in her eyes. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's all in the past. We're good now, aren't we? Cole gave her a reassuring smile, thinking to himself, don't just say it, show it. How about a kiss to express that apology? What? What exactly did that letter say? I never read it. In the dim light, a blush crept across Serena's face. Cole gave her a mischievous look. You really want to know? If you tell me, I'll listen. Your nose is as cute as a button, and I want to boop it to show you just how adorable you are, huh? Cole couldn't help but laugh. Man, what was he thinking back then? Serena bit her lip, unable to hide the smile in her eyes. And what else? There's more. You really want to hear it? Yes. You're. Cole whispered the third line from the letter. Ah, stop. How could you? You're so bad. Serena covered her face, mortified. Even in the faint light, you could see her neck had turned bright red. Her soft, playful protests made Cole's heart pound. This girl was going to be the death of him. Dating was a complicated process, an agonizing mix of wanting the time together to last forever, yet feeling every second tick by. Serena's eyes were filled with the reflection of the person in front of her. She wanted to say something, but the words wouldn't come. All she could do was hide her burning face in her hands. Fortunately, the nearest lamppost was far away, and the trees blocked most of the light, preventing passing strollers from getting too clear a look at them. A couple on a nearby bench had completely forgotten they were on a date. The guy said, "Wow, that's impressive. You can actually do that." The girl replied, "I know, right? They have no consideration for other people's feelings. Babe, can you rub my feet for me?" The guy hesitated. Huh, rub your feet. He glanced down at the grimy feet in her sandals and sighed internally. How am I supposed to do that? Am I going to get athlete's foot? The girl's expression turned suspicious. You don't want to? No, of course I wanna. Come on. The guy stammered. A moment later, he said, maybe we could just hold hands. You're disgusted by me. No, I'm not. We're breaking up. Wait, I'm really not. Hey, don't go. I'm sorry. I can keep doing it. Break up. The bench emptied as if cursed. It had seen several different couples in just the last hour. Neither Cole nor Serena remembered when she had burrowed into his arms. They had also forgotten when the breeze from the lake had turned cool. All they knew was the warmth they felt inside. Are you going home for fall break? Serena asked, looking up at Cole's chin. Probably not. I've got something important to take care of. Cole's tea shop had to open during the break. The business license would be ready, so he could start operating. The health permit would come a few days later. He was going to be swamped. Serena didn't ask what was so important. Instead, she shared her own plans. Oh, I'm going to my grandpa's. I want to spend more time with him. Yeah, old folks definitely miss their granddaughters. Will you miss her? Serena peeked at Cole before quickly burying her face in his chest, blushing again at her own forwardness. If a certain someone misses me, then I'll definitely miss her. I'll miss her double, Cole said with a sly grin. Serena pressed her face against his chest, her voice muffled. She'll definitely miss you. You're so mean, always teasing her. I like teasing her, but I'll take care of her too. Double. Holding Serena's soft, pliant body, inhaling her fresh, milky scent, Cole's thoughts began to drift. A little voice in his head was screaming again. Cole, don't you dare fall for this again. You'll just get yourself hurt. Will I? Cole stroked Serena's smooth ponytail, twirling the ends around his finger. He remembered his own pathetic state back then, all his foolish, idiotic actions. His so-called sincerity and love had ended up as a joke to everyone else. She had been showing off her new boyfriend on social media while he was left alone, licking his wounds night after night in a dark corner. The greatest illusion in life is believing yourself to be the devoted one. What you think is only what you think. It has no real effect on anyone else. Caught between desire and despair, the seasoned survivor in him would never choose despair again. No matter what, he had to be the one in control. I have to stick to the plan. Keep her guessing, Cole thought, once again pushing down the strings of his heart. Back on campus, Cole walked Serena to her dorm. When Serena ran out onto her balcony to look down, he was already gone. She stomped her foot. He never waits for me. Inside her dorm room, she mumbled a quick greeting to Zoe and rushed off to take a shower for reasons only she understood. When she came out, Zoe was waiting by her bed. Were you out with that guy? She asked in a low voice. Yeah, you like him that much. I do. Aren't you guys moving a little fast? Do you even know him? Zoe found it incredible. The semester had just started. Serena tilted her head and thought for a moment. I know him. They had gone to middle school together. How could she not know him? She knew everything he'd ever done. He used to get great grades, top 10 his year, but his performance had slipped in high school. Serena thought that was normal. Boys were always a bit more playful. As long as he wasn't getting into real trouble, it was fine, and she was certain Cole wasn't. Then she remembered how shy he used to be. Now, he was like a different person, but she wasn't going to share these thoughts. She had known Zoe for only a fraction of the time she had known Cole. She didn't feel the need to explain herself to an outsider. If the term love brain had been popular then, Zoe would have definitely used it to describe her friend. Serena usually had such a cool, aloof demeanor, yet here she was completely smitten with a guy. You should still be careful, Zoe advised. At least make sure he's a good person. I will. Serena appreciated her roommate's concern. Zoe sighed. She knew the sweet, naive girl hadn't really heard a word she said. She thought to herself, once she meets more outstanding guys, she'll realize how rash she's being. The fulfilling days passed quickly. Cole attended classes during the day, and when he was free, he handled the paperwork for the tea shop. On weekends, he procured supplies. If you were willing to spend money, delivery was always efficient. In the evenings, when he had time, he'd take Serena out to eat. However, Cole held himself back from taking things any further. That would signify a new stage in their relationship. This restraint made Serena feel a great sense of security. In fact, she became bolder. Whether they were on the grass or on a bench, she would immediately curl up in his arms, treating his embrace like a kangaroo's pouch. By the end of September, the newly renovated shop had been aired out. The sign for the Tea Alchemist was hung above the door. The business license had arrived. The boba machines, coffee maker, freezers, and all the miscellaneous items were in place. Everything was ready. On Sunday, the 26th, Serena's mother picked her up. She wouldn't be back until after fall break. The night before she left, she planted a few kisses on Cole's cheek, letting him know she was going to visit family. On the afternoon of the 28th, Cole decided to ask Luna to help him put up some vinyl lettering on the shop's walls. It would add to the atmosphere. He also needed to teach her the secret recipes for the drinks. He also had to post a hiring notice on the door to find 2 employees who could work consecutive shifts. He and Luna couldn't handle it all themselves, not with their class schedules. He sent Luna a message on Facebook Messenger, and she replied almost instantly. Okay, I'll come find you after dinner. Come eat with me. Okay. When Cole saw Luna, she was wearing a gray, long-sleeved t-shirt. It was a bit baggy, in a style that was several years out of date, but her complexion was much healthier than before. They walked to Hillside Avenue. Knowing she was from rural West Virginia, he took her to a Sichuan restaurant. This is too expensive. We could just get a bowl of noodles, Luna said, embarrassed. This looked like it would cost a lot of money. Trust me, this is the place, Cole said, giving her no room to argue as he led her inside. At first, Luna was very reserved, but Cole kept putting food on her plate and chatting with her, and she gradually relaxed. It turned out Luna could handle spicy food very well. The heat of Sichuan cuisine was nothing to her. Their tastes were perfectly aligned. After dinner, Cole took Luna to buy some wall decals and adhesive. It was Luna's first time in the tea shop, and her eyes were full of curiosity. The decor was bright, with soft track lighting, and it had a storage room and a bathroom. 400 square feet didn't sound like much, but for a tea shop, it was spacious. A long counter with high stools was set up against the floor-to-ceiling windows facing the street. Inside, there were 5 small wooden tables with comfortable chairs. They designed the lettering for the slogans first, then cut them out to stick on the wall. When they started, Luna's work was far more delicate than Cole's. Her handwriting was beautiful, and she cut with meticulous care. So, Cole decided she would be in charge of writing, and he would be in charge of sticking them up. A day fueled by boba. Have you had your tea today? A cup of tea in a quiet moment, enjoying the good times. Outside, the street was bustling with people, and occasionally, someone would peer inside. A group of students passing by stopped. This shop is bigger than the one over there, and you can sit down. I wonder if it's expensive. One of the girls shouted inside. Hey, when are you opening? Will there be any discounts? Probably the 1st or 2nd of the month. Cole called back with a smile. There will definitely be discounts. Discounts you'll be very happy with. I'll post a notice beforehand. You'll see it when you walk by. He planned to use steep discounts on the first day to attract a crowd. He wrote out a hiring notice on a piece of paper, looking for 2 employees for now, and taped it to the inside of the glass door. He thought he wouldn't get any takers until at least the next day, but just a few minutes later, someone walked in to ask. It was a short girl with glasses, a sophomore from Eastwood Tech's optics department named Sunny. She had been looking for a part-time job since the semester started, but hadn't found anything suitable. She was wary of labor agencies, fearing she'd get scammed. The owners of older shops were often sharks, and students rarely got a fair shake. If you were unlucky, you might not even get paid. As a single girl, she was just wandering around tonight and happened to see if the tea alchemist was hiring. She couldn't believe her luck. When she heard the pay was $10 an hour plus a bonus for perfect attendance, she practically grabbed Cole and begged him to hire her on spot. In 2010, in a city like Rockford, restaurant wages were around minimum wage. But few shops were honest. Getting paid less was common. The hours Cole offered weren't long, either 2 shifts, 10 to 4 and 3 to 9, with 1 day off a week. She wouldn't miss this opportunity for anything. She didn't even care that the boss was a freshman. As long as he paid, that's all that mattered. Seeing Sunny's cheerful personality and strong desire to work, Cole was happy to hire her. Sunny was proactive and immediately started helping Luna cut out the letters, starting her job right then and there. Since he didn't have an employment contract ready, Cole told her he'd get it sorted out in a couple of days. Sunny readily agreed. She had a good feeling about her freshman boss. He was transparent about everything. After working for a bit, she suddenly remembered her best friend and quickly pulled out her phone. "Megan, get over to Hillside Avenue right now. The old lamb soup noodle shop. You know where that is? Hurry." But just as she finished speaking, 2 more girls walked in. "Excuse me, are you hiring?" Sunny's face fell. Already? She had to reluctantly tell her friend not to come over. The new applicant was a quiet, gentle-looking girl, a sophomore from Eastwood University's College of Arts and Sciences, named Megan. After a brief interview, her eyes lit up when she heard the pay. And just like that, there were 3 girls cutting out letters. Cole had to take the hiring sign down again. They worked until 9 that night. Cole told his 2 new employees that training would start the next day. As for Luna, his plan was simple. If she wanted to manage the place, she could be the store manager. If not, she could be in charge of the finances. He felt a responsibility to take care of her. From the moment he gave her money and bought her a phone, Luna had lost her eligibility for financial aid. The university might only look at the official paperwork, but how could you apply for aid when you had a brand new smartphone? What would the students still using old flip phones think? Luna had never considered any of this. She didn't understand these things. Without Cole, she might have gotten help from her advisor or the student union to apply for aid. But now, everything was different. She was on a path she never would have been on otherwise. And perhaps, without Cole, on the night she lost her living expenses, she might have walked down a much sadder path. Self-esteem is a fragile thing. Most people can endure blows to it, but for some sensitive souls, it is more precious than life itself. The next day at training, Cole discovered that Luna was exceptionally smart and a quick learner. He demonstrated how to mix a drink once, and she memorized it completely. The process for making fresh ground coffee, she got it in one go. This made things incredibly easy for Cole, and he felt a growing affection for her. Winnie was the next quickest learner. Megan was a bit slower, possibly due to her recent breakup. Cole didn't mind. Training always meant wasting some materials. Not everyone could be a Luna. After 2 days of training, the results were impressive. Luna was already good enough to be a trainer herself. They were all set for the grand opening. On the evening of the 30th, Cole treated the 3 girls to dinner and gave Sunny and Megan a $200 advance on their salary. He made it clear it was a one-time thing, a gesture of goodwill since they hadn't signed contracts yet. Cole could see that Megan was struggling financially, so he decided to be generous. They were all students. He wasn't worried about them running off. The gesture lifted Megan's spirits, and a smile returned to her face. Sunny didn't really need the money, but she felt her boss's gesture was a great way to win people over. With the holiday approaching, Cole called his sister, Rose, to let her know he wouldn't be coming home. He said he had a part-time job and would be staying on campus. Rose was understanding. He had only been at college for a month, not a very long time. It was a good thing for her brother to get some work experience. Jasmine had to go home to accompany her mother to a checkup. She made a point to find Cole and warn him to be careful with part-time jobs. It was better not to work at all than to get scammed. Cole was touched by her concern and, pointing to his cheek, demanded a farewell kiss. On the first day of fall break, at 10 in the morning, a tea shop called the Tea Alchemist on Hillside Avenue opened for business. On opening day, everything except coffee was 50% off. In an era when the average cup of boba tea cost between $3 and $5, this was an incredible deal. The signature drink was the taro boba, with a regular price of $2, $50 for a medium and $3, $50 for a large. How business would be, they were about to find out. The 3 girls were all nervous. Cole, however, wasn't worried at all. In business, if you build it, they will come. In a location like this, there was nothing to worry about. He didn't even need to pay people to stand in line to create buzz. Sure enough, after just a few minutes, the first customer stopped. A group of 5 girls. At 50% off, the signature drink was just over $1. It was an easy decision. Luna and Megan prepared the drinks, while Sunny handled the cup sealing machine, working with brisk efficiency. Sunny was more outgoing and chatted casually with the girls, inviting them to sit down while they waited. After the drinks were ready, one of the girls took a sip and her face lit up with surprise. This is delicious. It's way better than the bubble tea at that other place. The other girls eagerly tried theirs. This is really good. The taro and milk flavors are blended perfectly. Cole listened and smiled to himself. Of course it's good. They use water. I use real milk. The 5 girls sat at the long counter by the window, playing on their phones. This was exactly what Cole wanted. Free advertising. Soon, more and more customers arrived. The shop filled up and a line formed outside. All 4 of them were so busy they didn't have a moment to rest. It wasn't until after 2 in the afternoon that the rush subsided. Cole quickly bought lunch for the 3 girls and had them eat in shifts. During the evening peak, another huge wave of customers descended. It lasted until 9:30 at night. Even Cole was exhausted. After closing, Cole had Luna buy a lavish late-night meal to celebrate their successful opening. Sunny and Megan took their food back to their dorms. Luna stayed behind to help Cole tally the day's earnings. They had sold a total of 1,032 cups. The signature taro boba alone accounted for over 500 cups. Except for coffee, which sold poorly, everything else did well. Luna's mouth hung open in amazement. Cole, however, was calm. He knew this was the effect of the discount. Once prices returned to normal, it would be expected for the number of cups to be cut in half, but revenue would likely increase. The gross income for the day was $2,386. Net profit would have to wait until the end of the month when they could tally it with the supply invoices. Why can't we tell customers there's a bathroom in the back? Luna finally couldn't hold back her question. Cole looked up at her and smiled. We served 1,032 customers today, right? Right, Luna replied, a look of confusion on her small face. You want the truth? Cole asked with a mischievous glint in his eye. When Luna met his smiling gaze, her face flushed slightly, and she quickly looked down. I kind of want to know. She felt a little embarrassed. Was she being dense? You asked for it, Cole chuckled. Out of 1,032 customers, it's normal to assume 400 of them might want to use the restroom, right? Luna thought for a moment and nodded. That's normal. 400 people using one toilet. Let's say 100 of them have to. Well, you can imagine. Cole winked at her. At first, Luna didn't get it. Then, she thought about the public restrooms at school and felt a wave of nausea. She covered her mouth and waved her hand. I get it. Don't say it. That bathroom is for you guys. Girls always need it more, Cole said as he counted the cash. This had been his plan from the beginning. There were no public restrooms nearby, unless you ran back to campus. Watching Cole's focused expression as he counted the money, a soft light flickered in Luna's eyes. He's so thoughtful, so considerate. Just then, Cole suddenly scratched his head. Hey, where was I? He pushed a pile of cash toward Luna. You count. There were so many $1 bills, quarters, dimes, and nickels. For someone used to online payments, counting it all was a headache. Luna pursed her lips in a small smile and took over the task. The shop was quiet, filled only with the sound of Luna's soft murmuring as she counted and the clicking of the calculator. Cole went to the counter and made a kiwi smoothie. He stuck a straw in it and placed it next to his little accountant. Then he remembered that if he didn't prompt her, she would assume it wasn't for her. He picked it up and held the straw to her lips. You worked hard. Have a sip. Luna was mortified, a blush creeping up from below her earlobes. She bit her lip, feeling incredibly shy, and instinctively started to refuse. But then she remembered that day on the train, when he had been just as bossy and yet so caring, feeding her milk. A warm, familiar feeling bloomed in her chest. Not daring to look at him, she blushed and took a small sip from the straw. Then she buried her head back in her work. Under the lights, her long, fair neck glowed with a captivating rosy hue. Finding her shy expression amusing, Cole deliberately teased her. From now on, you're in charge of all our money. Her little face instantly turned beet red like a ripe cherry. She ducked her head lower, pretending to be intensely focused on the coins, as if she hadn't heard him. That bashful charm made Cole's heart itch a little. He glanced at her. If only. Then it would be perfect. He was a bit fixated on that one point, almost to an obsessive degree. It was a shame. Who could understand the pursuit of natural perfection? After the money was counted and reconciled with the register, Cole walked Luna back to her dorm. When Luna got up to her 6th-floor window and looked down, the figure was already dozens of yards away. She watched him, her thoughts drifting following him as he walked further and further away, until he was obscured by a building. Only then did she go inside. Only Brianna was in the dorm room. Her family was in New England, too far to go home for the short break. How was your first day at work? So busy. So many customers. Luna had told Brianna she got a job, but not that it was at Cole's shop. Be careful. I hear a lot of shop owners screw over student workers, docking their pay or not paying them at all. Don't worry. This shop won't do that. What shop is it that you're so sure? It's a friend's shop. A friend's shop? Brianna looked at Luna curiously. What friend? You have friends here? It's the one you've met, Luna said after a moment's hesitation. The one I've met? Oh my God. You mean him? He opened a shop? Brianna was genuinely shocked it was Cole. Yeah, that's why I felt safe working there. So how much is he paying you? He's not just giving you a few $100, is he? $1,500 a month. What? How much did you say? $1,500. For real? For real? Oh my God. Brianna's eyes widened, and she threw herself at Luna, hugging her tightly. Bestie, you have to help me out. Ask your man to hire me too. Please? I'm begging you. The term, your man, made Luna's heart tremble, instantly recalling his words. From now on, you're in charge of all our money. She felt a shy urge to correct Brianna, but found she couldn't open her mouth. So she said nothing. She felt conflicted about Brianna's request. The shop was already fully staffed. How could she fit someone else in? Come on, bestie, help me out. Tomorrow, just mention it to your man. If you ask, he'll say yes 100%. Trust me, my judgment is impeccable. Brianna held on tight, refusing to let go until she got what she wanted. Luna had a soft heart and couldn't resist her pleading. Besides, Brianna had been very kind to her. She agreed to mention it the next day, but warned her that if it didn't work out, she couldn't be blamed. Brianna grinned from ear to ear. She knew it was a 200% done deal. The next day, the Tea Alchemist continued its 50% off sale. The crowd was even bigger than the day before. A huge, messy line snaked out the door, and the entrance was a chaotic mob. Every table inside was full, with people standing and sitting wherever they could. Most customers opted for the signature taro boba, but many also tried other flavors, especially those who were better off or were willing to go the extra mile for their girlfriends. Coffee remained a niche product, which was normal for the time, especially since it wasn't discounted and the original price was much higher. They sold a dozen cappuccinos and only a few vanilla lattes. Drinks like green grape coconut, mango pomelo sago, and caramel pudding were also popular. Luna's memory was excellent. She knew where every ingredient was, which made her the perfect person to direct the drink-making process, boosting efficiency. Around 2:30 in the afternoon, when things finally started to calm down, Luna tugged on Cole's sleeve, her eyes clearly saying, I have something to tell you. Cole led her outside the shop. What's up? It's my roommate. Luna stammered, telling him about Brianna's request. Sure, tell her come in tomorrow. Are you silly? You could have just messaged me. It's no big deal. Cole agreed so quickly that Luna was taken aback. She pursed her lips and shifted her weight shyly. I just thought it would be better to tell you in person. It was just as Brianna had predicted. He had agreed 100% without a moment's hesitation. A wave of warmth and a flutter of joy spread through Luna's heart. All right, I'm going to go buy something. You head back inside. Cole needed to take this opportunity to buy a couple of fire extinguishers. Okay, Luna agreed. She walked back with a light step, but after a few paces, she turned to look back. Cole was standing by the road, waiting to hail a cab. She watched him for a few more moments before going back into the shop. An hour later, Cole returned with 2 fire extinguishers and placed them in a corner of the shop. They weren't just for fire prevention. Mr. Huang, the contractor, had been reliable, and the electrician had been professional, so the risk of a fire was low. But they were a necessary precaution to pass any potential fire inspections. The day was busy until 9 at night, when the shop finally quieted down. A quick tally showed that the day's revenue was $800 higher than the previous day. Cole was beaming. Tomorrow, the discount would be reduced to 20% off. He was curious to see how much the customer volume would drop and what the new ratio of traffic to revenue would be. He took the cash drawer out, once again entrusting the task of counting the money to Luna. She was the most meticulous. Watching her serious little face, Cole made a plan to buy her an e-scooter. Once fall break was over, she'd have classes, and walking back and forth would be too tiring. As usual, he walked Luna back to her dorm. When he got back to his own room, he found his 3 roommates were actually there. They hadn't gone home for the holiday either, preferring to sleep all day and stay up all night. It was rare to see them on a night like this. Preston and Javier looked pale and unwell. Cole, feeling charitable, asked, What's wrong with you guys? You look like you just got dumped. The two of them lay listlessly on their beds, not saying a word. Cole leaned closer to Javier. Whoa, the kid's face was as white as a sheet. Did you guys go crawling through some back alley tiger dens? $50 or 100? As if a mere tiger den could do this to us. Preston sighed heavily. Not even a succubus could drain us this badly. Across the room, Frank was making faces. Cole turned to him. What happened? Aw, these two. They got taken by a couple of bar shills, Frank said, his voice full of sympathy, but the gleeful dance of his eyebrows revealed a deep sense of schadenfreude. He had lost a few $100 in a tea ceremony scam last time. Now, finally, he was not alone in his misery. You guys still have your pants on? What kind of unprofessional shills were they? Cole joked. Preston and Javier. Frank jumped in to answer. It was those two girls they were handing out flyers for. Holy crap. Cole was stunned. That wasn't just a scam. That was skinning them alive. After they'd bought them meals and handed out flyers for days, the girls still dragged them to a clip joint to finish them off. That was truly pathetic. Cole looked over at Preston, who lay on his bed like a man on his deathbed, his eyes filled with melancholy. He was probably reminiscing about the good old days of handing out flyers. While some were on their deathbeds, others were resurrected. Frank was practically bouncing off the walls, reborn, his earlier shame completely avenged. The next morning, when Cole woke up at 7, the other three were still fast asleep. He went to the shop, where the technicians from the security company had already arrived. Cole was having a surveillance system and burglar alarm installed. It was another expense, but a necessary one. You never knew when you might need it. Just as the security team finished, a light rain began to fall, gradually turning into a steady downpour, bringing a chill to the air. Luna arrived with Brianna, both huddled under a small umbrella. To Cole's displeasure, Brianna was a bit robust and took up more umbrella space, leaving Luna's shoulders soaked. Brianna could clearly feel the boss/brother-in-law shooting daggers at her and was completely baffled. What did I do? Cole ran to a nearby store, bought a hairdryer, and pulled Luna over to the bathroom area to dry her off. She was a star player. He couldn't have her getting sick. Luna stood there obediently, her eyes darting from Cole's face to his hands as he patiently rolled up her sleeve to dry it. She listened to him fussing. If you don't have an umbrella, you should have just called me to bring you one. The weather in Rockford is weird. You can easily catch a cold if you get wet. Her eyes began to sparkle, and the sparkles slowly turned into a watery mist. As her lips trembled, the mist gathered into tears and fell. Fearing it wasn't right, she quickly wiped the wet tracks from her face while he was bent over, drying the cuff of her pants. In the work area, Sunny peeked toward the back of the shop. Although she couldn't see around the corner, she could imagine the tender scene. Our boss is really a caring person, she whispered. Luna is so lucky, Megan said wistfully. Both of them could sense that the boss treated Luna differently. Tell me about it. She got a little wet, and he almost glared a hole through me, Brianna lamented, looking down at her own soaked shoulder. With Brianna now on the team, Cole didn't need to hang around the work area anymore. He would occasionally join the line to eavesdrop on what the customers were saying. Sometimes he would sit at a table and pretend to be a customer. Other times, he would go check out the competition. The other two tea shops were nearly empty. Their business looked bleak. While this made Cole happy, it also put him on high alert. That afternoon, as he was sitting in the shop, a group of 7 or 8 students arrived at the door. This place is new. I've had the caramel latte here twice, and it's almost as good as the ones I've had in New York, a handsome, lanky guy said. Really? We should try it. A girl replied in a familiar, airy, affected voice. Cole glanced over and was surprised to see it was Cora. Besides Cora, another girl in the group caught his eye. Her face was cute enough, but her figure was what really drew attention. Full and curvy, showcased in a white floral sundress that generously revealed the deep valley of her chest. When Cole's gaze settled on her face, a jolt of surprise went through him. It was Julia, the one who had expertly kept him on the hook back in high school. She was a freshman too, over at Eastwood State. Memories of their past flickered through his mind, but they were just that, fleeting images that failed to stir any emotion. He wasn't that guy anymore, and in this timeline, none of it had even happened. Besides, spending time with Jasmine and Serena had recalibrated his standards to a global peak. Still, Cole's philosophy was simple. If it's free to look, you're making a profit. So he took a few more glances at her impressive cleavage. A reasonably handsome guy hovered by Julia's side, doting on her, gently dabbing a few stray raindrops from her shoulder with a tissue. He was the picture of attentiveness. Cole saw a reflection of his former self in the guy and felt a pang of sympathy. He wondered what his contact name was in Julia's phone. Welcome to the Tea Alchemist. What can we get for you? The 3 girls behind the counter chirped in unison, Brianna's voice booming like a thunderclap. The group of 8 walked in, looking around curiously. They took over the long table by the floor-to-ceiling window and one of the adjacent round tables. Cora, who had been scrutinizing the menu board, finally looked toward the counter and saw Cole. Her face instantly frosted over, and she turned her head away with a haughty sniff. Julia, however, didn't even spare him a glance. She settled into a chair at the round table closest to Cole, elegantly crossing her legs. The guy sat down next to her, leaning in eagerly. "What are you thinking, Julia?" "See, anything you like." Julia was busy tapping away on her Samsung phone. "Whatever," she said, her voice dismissive. The guy scanned the menu, his eyes landing on the pricier options. "How about a strawberry macchiato? Too sweet. Vanilla latte? Too bitter. Okay, then the banana hazelnut smoothie. I bet you'd like that. I'm kind of sick of bananas." "Well," the guy glanced nervously at her phone, as if wanting to say something but stopping himself. He turned his attention back to the menu, determined to find the perfect drink for his goddess. Judging by his clothes, a sharp, dark button-down and slacks from Express, his family probably had some money. Perhaps sensing Cole's gaze, the guy looked over. He sized Cole up from head to toe, his expression shifting to one of dismissive arrogance. Cole offered him a smile dripping with mock solemnity, then let his eyes drift back to the girls, taking in a view. A little eye candy was good for the soul. From behind the counter, Luna was wiping down a cocktail shaker, her eyes darting toward Cole. It wasn't hard to follow his line of sight. She pursed her lips, a strange, unhappy knot forming in her stomach. So that's what he likes. She glanced down at her own chest, then back at Cole, her pearl-like eyes full of a quiet resentment. "I'll have a hazelnut latte," Cora announced, pointing at the menu. The handsome guy next to her immediately chimed in. "Make that too. I love those." A small smile played on Cora's lips. Her gaze swept across the workspace and landed on Luna. She was surprised. She works here? No wonder Cole's hanging around. But wait, didn't Cole already have a girlfriend? Was he trying to play them both? That has to be it. What a scumbag. A total player. She slanted a glance at the guy beside her, feeling a rush of satisfaction. At least he was devoted. Still, she made a mental note to test her other prospects, Liam, Marcus, and Daniel, to see if they were just as loyal. She watched Cole for a moment longer. He wasn't looking at the counter. Instead, he was chewing on a straw, his eyes shamelessly drifting over her and her friends, lingering on their legs and chests, not even trying to hide it from the girl working behind the counter. That was weird. Was he really just here for a drink and not for the girl? Or maybe they broke up. Highly likely. A girl that beautiful would never stay hung up on a guy like him for long. A wave of satisfaction washed over her, and she let out a small, triumphant laugh. "Cole, you're staring so hard," she said, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "Does that mean you're treating us to a round of drinks?" "Huh." Cole looked momentarily flustered, caught in the act. He waved his hands dismissively. "I didn't realize looking came with a fee. I don't have the money to treat you, so I'll stop looking." "What?" Cora cursed him silently. Shameless. Julia shot him a look of pure disgust. The guys in their group scowled. How dare he stare at their goddesses? The guy in the Express shirt, whose name was Simon, was already on edge about Julia's revealing top. Now that someone was openly gawking, he felt a surge of acidic anger. "If you're broke, stop fronting," he sneered. "What good does looking do you? Go find a better part-time job so you can actually afford something." Cole's clothes were generic, and he wasn't wearing his watch. He looked like any other average student. He knew he was being looked down on, but he didn't care. He deliberately glanced at Julia's cleavage again. "You're looking too. Did you pay? How many drinks can you even afford to buy?" "Huh." Simon let out a bitter laugh, fuming. "For a girl, of course you pay. I mean, you provide. I'll buy her whatever she wants, no matter how many." "TCH. Talk is cheap," Cole shot back, his face a mask of disdain as he stole another look. "She'll drink 1 cup, max. You'll buy 1 cup. Who are you trying to impress?" "You." Simon was seething. Julia finally looked up from her phone, her gaze cold and arrogant. "Then buy me a drink," she said to Cole. "You've had your look, right?" Cole wasn't falling for that trap. He turned the tables, smirking at Simon. "See? We're the same. You buy 1, and I'll buy 1. Then I can look all I want, right?" He chuckled to himself. Kids this age were so predictable. Cora and the other 2 girls chimed in, ganging up on him. "You looked at us too. Buy us a drink." They seemed to think they were cornering him, completely forgetting their male companions were even there. Cole wasn't surprised. They were all masters at playing the field. They didn't care about the feelings of one guy in their orbit. A little pouting and a fake tantrum later, and they'd have them wrapped around their fingers again. He glanced at the 4 sullen faces of the guys and threw up his hands in mock defeat. Hey, I didn't say it, they did. Fine, I'll buy you each one drink. It's not that much money, anyway. He waved his hand magnanimously. Ladies, order whatever you want. I can afford one round. But in that case, I'm going to get my money's worth. With that, he let his gaze roam freely. Simon and the other three guys glared at him, looking like they were ready to throw a punch. But, as Cole had pointed out, the girls had started it, as shameless as he was being. And Cole, at a solid 6 feet, looked like he could handle himself, which dampened their courage. Instead, they resorted to taunts. Stop pretending. You'll be eating ramen for a week. You think we're actually paying attention to you? What a loser. So childish. This is hilarious. Like we care about one drink from you? My daily food budget is more than you make in a week. Cora, Julia, and the other girl smirked, watching the guys bicker with detached amusement. They found the whole thing incredibly entertaining. Smack! Cole slammed his hand on the table as if he'd had enough. He pointed a thumb toward the three girls working behind the counter. Fine, he roared at the four guys. Here's the deal. For every drink you buy for these four, I'll buy one for my three girls here. I'm calling your bluff. He leaned forward, his eyes glinting. So are you in or not? If you're scared, then get out of my way, and I'll look as much as I damn well please. A good salesman is always a good actor. Cole's expression was a perfect blend. 3 parts arrogance, 3 parts roguishness, 3 parts raw nerve. The last part was pure mockery. He was betting they didn't have the guts. The four guys faltered, exchanging uncertain glances. Cora theatrically covered her chest, a look of disgust on her face as if to shield her modest assets from his view. She had a nice figure and admittedly great legs, but she was a B-cup at best, always padded to look like more. Julia shot a look at Simon. I really can't stand guys who are all talk, she said coolly. Simon, if you can, why don't you teach him a lesson and drain his wallet? As the guys hesitated, Cole let out a perfectly timed scoff and let his eyes wander over the girls again, completely unrestrained. That was the last straw. Fine, Simon said with a smirk. I hope you don't cry about it later. Ha, we'll see who's crying, Cole shot back, channeling the swagger of an overconfident teenager. The guy next to Cora, Ryan, jutted out his chin. Put your money on the table. We'll all put our cash on the counter. Don't want you bailing when it's time to pay up. Bring on. Cole sneered, fully committed to his role. And you better not be faking it either. You're all dressed up, but who knows if you've got more than $5 in those fancy wallets of yours. Being called broke in front of their goddesses was an insult they couldn't bear. One by one, they started pulling out their wallets, laying them on the table. Simon sneered at Cole. Where's your money? Put it up. Cole reached into his pocket, pulled out his own wallet, and with a show of gritted teeth reluctance, slapped all of his cash, a thick wad of 20s, onto the counter. All in, he declared dramatically. $150. If you can't match it, you give me all 4 of your numbers. Asking for their numbers? That was crossing a line. The 4 guys were furious. Deal. We'll match it. But you have to get out of here right now, and you can't come back for your drinks for a full hour. Got it. Fine. What do I care? Go ahead, clean me out. But if you can't, I'm getting those numbers. Cole was playing the part of a desperate gambler, betting his entire wallet for a shot at glory in front of the girls, convinced their guns were empty. Cora and Julia exchanged bewildered looks. Was this guy an idiot? For $250, they'd have just given him their numbers directly. But saying that out loud would tarnish their goddess-like mystique. Cora laughed coldly to herself. You rejected my friend request the other day, and now you're trying this? Pathetic. She was more certain than ever that he'd been dumped. Only a guy reeling from a breakup would act this crazy. Just pay him and make him leave, she muttered. He's annoying to look at. Besides, they could take the drinks back to their dorms and share them with friends. It wouldn't be a waste. The 4 guys pooled their cash. One had $60, another $80. Altogether, it only came to $220. That was all the cash they had on them. The girls suddenly found the ceiling fascinating, their expressions screaming, "Don't look at me. I'll give him my number if I have to. It's no big deal." Cole's face broke into a triumphant grin, as if victory was at hand. Simon, clenching his jaw, reached for his belt and discreetly pulled 2 folded $20 bills and a 10 from a hidden seam. He slapped the $50 on the counter, his face a mask of cold, victorious pride. There, now you can get lost. And make sure you wait the full hour. Don't be a sore loser. Cole's smile vanished. His eyes darted between them, a storm of indignation, humiliation, and heartache brewing in his gaze. Finally, he gave him a single, bitter thumbs up. Fine, you win. You're the big shots. With a look of utter shame and loneliness, he turned and stormed out of the shop. Simon let out a pained laugh, trying to ignore the hole burning in his own wallet. What a freak. Had to act tough. And for what? He's going to drown in coffee. What an idiot, another guy chimed in. At least we can share these with people. He just gonna have to chug one and toss the rest. Huh, I'm dying. Cora felt a wave of pure bliss, a sense of superiority washing over her. The sting of his earlier rejection was completely gone, replaced by sweet, satisfying victory. In the work area, when he asked, "Hi, will that be all macchiatos or lattes?" "Half and half," Julius said. Cora and the other two girls agreed. Coffee was classier than milk tea. It looked better in your hand and made for a more impressive gift. "Okay," Wendy said, using every ounce of her strength to keep a straight face. Brianna kept pretending to bend down for supplies, hiding her face as she struggled not to burst out laughing. Only Luna felt differently. At first, she found it all amusing, but when she heard them tell Cole to get lost, a sharp pain shot through her heart. Tears pricked her eyes. She had heard that word directed at her more times than she could count, and she knew how much it stung. Cole must feel awful, she thought. The order was huge, nearly 40 drinks at full price. Luckily, Megan, the evening shift employee, had just arrived, freeing up someone to handle the other customers. It took them almost an hour to complete the massive $250 order. Naturally, the goddesses couldn't be expected to carry anything. Simon and the other guys each left laden with bags of drinks, faces plastered with triumphant smiles that hid the deep sorrow in their wallets. An hour and 5 minutes later, Cole sauntered back into the shop. A man had to keep his word, after all. He considered revealing he was the owner right then and there for the satisfaction of it, but that could backfire. They could claim he'd tricked them, call the cops, and accuse him of fraud. He had to wait until the transaction was complete. Once they took the goods, the deal was done. Wendy grinned. "Boss, you are so bad." "What are you talking about? I have a heart of gold. Wasn't I helping them boost their image in front of their goddesses?" Cole corrected her piously. Brianna chimed in with a few words of praise, though she was thinking, he's ruthless. Those guys are going to die of regret when they gave all those drinks away. "A drink for each of you on me. Pick whatever you want," Cole announced with a grand wave of his hand. "I want a hazelnut latte." Wendy cheered immediately. After Brianna and Megan happily picked out expensive drinks for themselves, only Luna hesitated, unable to decide. Cole knew her too well. "You're having a kiwi smoothie," he declared. The shop smoothies were made with real milk and supplemental ingredients like dates, not the watered-down stuff from other places. Kiwi was high in vitamin C, perfect for her. If he hadn't chosen for her, she would have picked the cheapest thing on the menu. But Luna still looked downcast, her unhappiness written all over her face. There was something she wanted to say to him, but the shop was getting busy again. She'd have to wait and tell him later. Cora and her friends went their separate ways, back to their respective campuses to distribute their spoils. Back at Eastwood University, Cora and Ryan handed out the coffees to her roommates and the president and vice president of the Student Government's Outreach Committee. As they sipped their drinks, they recounted the hilarious incident. "Wait, the committee president, a junior named Jessica," said, her eyes suddenly strange. "You said his name was Cole?" "Yeah, he's in my finance program," Cora said with a sigh. "Not a great guy, honestly." Jessica's expression grew even more complex. She thought Cora had real potential for the committee, a possible successor, but now she could see the girl still had a lot to learn. "As far as I know," Jessica said, her voice full of sympathy, "the owner of that shop is named Cole." No student group was more familiar with local businesses than the Outreach Committee. They had visited the Tea Alchemist back in late September to get acquainted and had learned then that the owner was a freshman. They'd seen it as a good thing. A freshman would be much easier to work with than some jaded old business owner. Jessica hadn't planned on revealing the truth, but a member of her committee needed to be resilient. Besides, a part of her thought, Cole is the one we should have been recruiting for the committee. The room fell silent. An awkward tension began to fill the air. Cora's eyes glazed over. "Cole? He owns the shop? So all that shouting and drama. It was an act? He wasn't just acting tough. He was acting like he was acting tough." Ryan's pupils visibly constricted, a clear signal of a heart in agony. Just moments ago, he'd been savoring the image of Cole miserably throwing away dozens of drinks. And now, he'd spent $50. Who in their right mind spends $50 on coffee for other people? A buzzing filled his head, accompanied by a phantom melody. Who is that singing a song that stabs my soul? He swirled the coffee in his cup, his face twitching. The hazelnut latte was suddenly, unbearably bitter. Cora's roommates and friends suddenly found fascinating things to look at in every corner of the room, their faces screaming, "Who's that over there?" They bit their tongues, painfully suppressing their laughter. It was one thing to laugh, but not while drinking the spoils of their con. They'd at least wait until they got back to their rooms. Suddenly, Ryan whipped out his phone. To hell with it. If he had to suffer, they were all going to suffer with him. The sky remained a dreary gray, but it did nothing to dampen the customers' enthusiasm. By the end of the day, not counting the $250 stunt, the shop had brought in over $700. Cole knew it was a temporary surge. Once fall break was over, sales would likely dip, maybe even down to $300 or $400 a day. But for now, he was raking it in. His main competitors were probably only selling about 100 cups a day. He was sure they'd try to copy some of his drinks. They probably had people in line right now, taking notes. But that didn't matter. Cole had a whole arsenal of future bestsellers up his sleeve. The Tea Alchemist would need a steady stream of promotions to keep stimulating sales, and he needed to open a second location as soon as possible. Lost in thought, he noticed Luna, who was counting the cash, kept glancing at him. "What's up?" he asked. And nothing. Luna had so much she wanted to say, but the words caught in her throat. Later, as they walked back toward campus, Cole could tell she was still wrestling with something. Under the dim streetlights, her lovely face was still clouded with worry. He smiled and gently ruffled her hair. "What are you thinking about? Tell me." Her hair was incredibly soft and smooth, a pleasure to touch. The affectionate gesture seemed to relax her instantly. She tilted her head to look at him. "I was really scared they were going to fight you today," she said in a small voice. She wanted to say, "I didn't want to hear them tell you to get lost," but that felt too embarrassing. "They wouldn't have," Cole said, his eyes softening. "Don't worry, I had it under control. They weren't going to start anything. Most people would have just enjoyed the drama, but she had been worried about him getting hurt. This girl was truly special." He couldn't resist ruffling her hair again. His hand lingered, then slid down to rest on her shoulder, his fingers toying with a silky strand. The warm touch on her shoulder made Luna tense up for a second before she relaxed into it. She glanced at the sharp line of his jaw, then quickly looked away, a blush creeping up her cheeks. This felt nice, safe, like she was in a protected zone where nothing could harm her. There was something else she wanted to say, but she just couldn't bring herself to voice it. The early October evening air had a chill to it. A gust of wind made her shiver and shrink into herself. The small movement didn't escape Cole's notice. He felt the material of her thin, summer-weight sleeve. Rockford didn't really have an autumn. The temperature swung wildly between day and night. He gently pulled her closer, his arm wrapped around her shoulders, hoping to share some of his warmth. She leaned into him willingly, and for a moment, they fit together perfectly. When he got back to the dorm, Preston and Javi were still recuperating from their recent financial trauma. They'd been lying in bed all day, their empty pockets forbidding any adventures. Cole found it curious. Wasn't Preston a rich kid? Couldn't he just ask for more money? When Cole asked, Preston mumbled that his mom had yelled at him and told him he deserved it, before burying his face in his pillow to sulk. Frank was lounging on his bed, feet up, engrossed in a web novel on his phone. It was called Billionaire Alpha's Urban Revenge, by an author named Vixen Fox. Cole had glanced at it before. It was full of trashy scenes, but Frank was eating it up, giggling stupidly while picking his nose. Every so often, he'd wipe his finger on the side of his bed frame, which was caked with several layers of a mysterious, dark brown substance. Cole always gave it a wide berth. "We should go out tomorrow, my dudes," Frank announced, flicking a finger. "It's boring sitting in here all the time." Cole's eyes narrowed. With his enhanced vision, he tracked a tiny black speck as it sailed through the air, landing perfectly in the dark hair on the back of Preston's head. Holy crap. In that moment, Cole was profoundly grateful his bed was in the opposite corner of the room. "Not going," Javi replied listlessly. Preston didn't move or make a sound. Cole obviously wasn't going either. Before showering, he had an important mission to complete. He opened his messages. "Serena, I'm in bed. Suddenly I really miss being on campus." A sly grin spread across Cole's face. He typed back, "I'm in bed too. Suddenly I really miss someone." "Serena, how much?" Smiling face with smiling eyes, Cole. "As much as she misses campus." "Serena, that much, huh?" Smiling face with smiling eyes. "Okay. I guess I can reward him with a hug when I get back." "Cole, can I get a kiss instead?" "Serena, ick. Smiling face with smiling eyes, Cole chuckled, and the two of them chatted until Serena was too sleepy to keep her eyes open. The next morning, just after 11, Julia showed up at the Tea Alchemist. She was alone. This time, she wore a small cardigan over her dress, her chest half concealed, half revealed. She ordered a milk tea and sat quietly at a round table. After a moment, as if feeling a bit warm, she took off the cardigan. The view was now even more prominent than the day before. Cole spared her a few glances, but quickly lost interest. It was all push-up and posture, a total illusion. Beside him, Luna's eyes were full of resentment again. Her fruit chopping slowed. She looked down at her own chest and bit her lip, her heart filled with a familiar turmoil. Just as Cole was coming out from behind the work area, planning to run to a nearby market for some cherry tomatoes, Julia spoke up. We should exchange numbers. Huh? Cole froze, turning to her. He pointed at himself. Are you talking to me? Who else? Julia said, gathering her long hair to tie it back. The pose was deliberately provocative, putting her assets on full display. Cole laughed inwardly. Here we go again. He had only himself to blame for falling for it the first time. He'd always been a sucker for an impressive facade, only to learn it was a classic bait-and switch. He thought he was getting a diamond and ended up with cubic zirconia. False advertising was a killer. Behind the counter, Luna stopped what she was doing, her small face tense as she watched Cole. Brianna rolled her eyes and secretly mouthed the word slut to Wendy. But this Cole was not the eager, loyal puppy of the past. He was Cole too. Zero, a man of the world. He didn't even spare a glance at the counterfeit goods on display. Oh man, sorry, he said, his face a mask of regret. I don't have a phone number. You don't. Julia's hands stilled, her eyes wide with disbelief. Do you hear yourself? She seemed to be thinking. She forced a laugh, trying to maintain her composure, her eyes fixed on him. Then just give me your digits. Don't have those either. I just use other people's phones to make calls. He paused, his expression shifting from sincere apology to sudden realization in a fraction of a second. Oh, you want to pre-order drinks, right? He turned and called out cheerfully to the counter. Luna Lou, can you give this lady your number for future orders? Huh. Luna stared blankly for a second before it clicked. Oh, okay. A wave of warmth spread through her. The nickname, Luna Lou, made her heart flutter with a secret joy. Of course, the number exchange never happened. By the time Luna had earnestly pulled out her phone, Julia was already chuckling coldly. Forget it. It's not important. She stood up, adjusted her cardigan, and walked out with her drink without another look at Cole, radiating an air of, you had your chance, and you blew it. Once she turned the corner, the faint smile on her face vanished, replaced by a dark scowl. Her pride felt like it had been stomped into the ground. Anger burned in her chest. The nerve of him. What was so great about him anyway? So what if he opened a little tea shop? Compared to the amazing guys in her life, he was still a total loser. With that thought, her sense of superiority returned. She pulled out her phone, opened her contacts, and scrolled to her list of orbiters. Maybe I'm in the mood for a nice dinner tonight, she thought, on someone else's dime. After she was long gone, Cole headed out with a sigh, a single thought on his mind. Seriously, where in the world can a guy find an authentic D-cup? The tea alchemist was even busier that day. Besides the students staying on campus for the break, there were also tourists who, after visiting Rockford's other attractions, came to tour the prestigious Eastwood University campus. Most were high schoolers, either with their parents or with a group of friends. The shop's bright, modern decor and extensive menu were a magnet for them. Its prime location didn't hurt either. By the end of the day, Cole's feet were aching, but his smile stretched from ear to ear. Even at regular prices, the day's revenue had broken $900. He figured he could enjoy this windfall for another couple of days before it tapered off. I'm so tired and hungry, Brianna groaned, slumping into a chair, her eyes practically begging for a late-night snack. Congratulations, Cole said cheerfully. You've officially entered a state of prime calorie burning. Seeing her hopes for free food dashed, Brianna let out a dramatic sigh. Just as she was about to leave with Megan, Cole added, I'll reimburse you for snacks up to $15. Yes. The two girls cheered and ran out the door. $15 could cover tomorrow's breakfast, too. Cole chuckled. They didn't seem so tired anymore. Maybe he'd cancel the snack budget tomorrow. He went behind the counter, made a fresh kiwi juice, and stuck a straw in it, holding it out to his most trusted lieutenant. Luna, drink up. Luna's face flushed. She shyly took the straw between her lips, glancing up at Cole for a second before quickly looking down again. In a few days, we're going to buy an e-scooter for you to get to and from the shop, Cole said. He noticed Luna seemed happy all afternoon, though he wasn't sure why. No, that's a waste of money. I can walk, she said, shaking her head. We're buying it. I want to always be at the shop, and I don't want you walking back alone at night. Cole had other ventures to plan, things he needed to get rolling before the end of the year. He couldn't be at the shop every single day. Oh, Luna's face suddenly fell. What's wrong? Cole sensed the shift in her mood. Nothing, she mumbled, looking down. What is it? He ruffled her hair gently. When I get my company up and running, you're coming with me. You'll be in charge of counting all my money, okay? Luna's eyes lit up. She looked up at him and nodded vigorously. Okay, then get back to work. He gave her cheek a light pinch. The skin was impossibly smooth. Okay, Luna quickly went back to counting the change, her eyes sparkling, a red blush on the spot where his fingers had touched her. After they finished and locked up, Cole once again put his arm around her shoulders and walked her back to her dorm. For the next few days, the Tea Alchemist's daily earnings were fantastic. But as expected, the moment fall break ended, the revenue dropped significantly. Cole bought the e-scooter, thinking he'd have to teach Luna how to ride it. But to his surprise, she took to it instantly. Brianna got to benefit from it too. Riding was much faster than walking, allowing them to pop over to the shop or the library whenever they had a break in their classes. Cole wasn't strict about Luna's hours. He just needed her to help out in the evenings and on weekends. He made sure to tell her that her classes came first. Her accounting major was a key part of his future plans. He needed his finance person to be someone he trusted completely, his inner circle. The moment the city offices reopened, Cole went straight to the health department and picked up their food service permit, which he hung proudly next to their business license. With that, he could finally relax, knowing they were fully compliant. He checked the time and hurried over to Eastwood University's Student Venture Lab. It was currently called the Center for Innovation and Practice, but he knew it would eventually be rebranded. He went up to the 4th floor to a small office in the far corner, barely 60 square feet. It held 2 desks for computers and nothing else. A man and a woman were sitting inside. "Hi, I'm looking for Wyatt," Cole said, knocking on the open door. The guy stood up looking puzzled. "Hi, I'm Wyatt. Are you?" "Cole." "Yeah, I'm the one who emailed you," Cole said with a smile. "Is there somewhere we could talk?" Wyatt seemed to snap out of daze. "Oh yeah, of course. Follow me." They walked down a hallway to a small conference room. After they sat down, Cole took a good look at Wyatt. He was of average height with a square face, glasses, and a plaid shirt. His hair hadn't been cut in a while, and he had massive dark circles under his eyes. This was the creator of Face Power. Cole had been keeping an eye on the site. It had no ads, no external links. It was purely a platform for campus hotties like Cora to collect followers and boost their popularity. Its only income was probably from girls paying for votes or from student donations. Cole had guessed the site's operator was feeling anxious and lost about its future. Looking at Wyatt now, he was pretty sure he was right. That made him the perfect candidate for Cole's plans, assuming the computer science major had the skills to back it up. "Wyatt," Cole said, getting straight to the point, "I want to hire you to build me a website." "For a person? A company? What's the scale?" "E-commerce." Wyatt was worried Cole didn't understand what building a real website entailed. A lot of people just wanted a simple landing page, which was cheap. That's what he usually did as a freelancer, building basic sites for small businesses. "I want a comprehensive media platform," Cole said. "Something that integrates social networking, news, everything." His ideal model was an app like TikTok, but with the current state of Android and network speeds, that was impossible. TikTok's predecessor in China had been founded in 2012. As a man reborn, Cole intended to get there first. "You mean like a portal site? Like Yahoo? With blogs?" Wyatt stared at him like he was crazy. "You couldn't just build something like that. Giants like Yahoo already dominated that space, fueled by massive resources. Building a similar site would be time-consuming, cost $100,000 or more, and without a huge influx of content and users, it would just be an empty shell. No, nothing like that. What I want is a platform with fair and open access, where every user can freely publish content and become a part of the social network themselves." Even if Cole had the money, he wouldn't build a blog-centric platform. Blogs were for elites. If you weren't a big name, you were just a commenter. People followed blogs to keep up with industry leaders. The future was in platforms where anyone could create and share content, build their own homepage, and have a shot at becoming a star. "I'm still not quite sure what you mean," Wyatt said, though a flicker of understanding was in his eyes. "Let me put it this way," Cole explained. "The core of it is an algorithm-based, personalized experience. It proactively pushes content to users that they'll like. If I want to see posts about cars, it will show me fewer posts about cooking. If I want to watch action movie clips, it will reduce or stop recommending clips from romantic comedies." Cole had done his homework on Wyatt. He was an algorithm specialist, a software engineer caught between graduating and applying for grad school. Cole had never heard of him in his past life, which meant he likely ended up as just another programmer at some big company. Listening to this freshman talk so confidently about complex concepts, Wyatt was filled with a mix of curiosity and amazement. He understood algorithms, but this idea was novel, completely different from the current mainstream models. Feasibility aside, the concept was incredibly advanced, which also meant the risk was enormous. He fell silent, his eyes thoughtful. After a full 5 minutes, he spoke. "You're talking about an information push engine? One that learns a user's browsing habits, search history, and attributes?" "Yes, that's exactly it." Cole couldn't help but slap the table. a grin spreading across his face. You're the expert. You get what I'm trying to say. He'd found the right guy. Wyatt clearly had a deep understanding of algorithm engineering. We can build the basic portal structure first, Cole continued, and then refine the recommendation engine as we operate. This will take a lot of money, Wyatt cautioned. You'll need at least $20,000 just for the initial phase. He was still skeptical of Cole's resources and resolve. Money is not an issue, Cole said with a confident wave of his hand. You just build it. I'll handle the funding. Once the framework was up, he'd figure out how to promote it and get ad revenue to sustain development. Cole was sure that once he had a working prototype, getting out there wouldn't be hard, though it would probably require some seed money to bait the hook. And he didn't plan to launch nationwide. The cost would be too high. He'd start by building a user base on college campuses, which would in turn attract companies targeting that demographic. They talked for a while longer, with Cole outlining his initial vision. Wyatt started to relax. If Cole had wanted to build the entire thing in one go, Wyatt would have written him off as a naive dreamer. As it was, he could develop the platform, earn his fee, and the site's ultimate fate wouldn't be his problem. Still, Wyatt was shaken. This was a freshman, just starting college, yet his strategic thinking was deeper than his own, a software engineering major. It was decided that Wyatt would assemble the team. In the meantime, Cole would register the company. They would start development, while waiting for the paperwork to go through to save time. After exchanging contact information, Cole went to the Venture Labs management office. He needed to apply for a space here to rent an office. The main draw was the reduced rent. Successful applicants got significant discounts. You want to build a portal website? The lab's associate director, Professor Diaz, frowned slightly upon hearing Cole's intention. Professor Diaz was a full professor, 51, with stylishly curled hair. She had retired from her administrative post at the university last year and now worked here. Though she was the associate director, the director was a high-level administrator who was rarely around, leaving her in charge of daily operations. Yes, Professor Diaz, here is my business plan, along with my other entrepreneurial credentials, Cole said, handing her a folder. He had come prepared, bringing a proposal he'd drafted a few days earlier, as well as the revenue reports and ownership documents for his tea shop. The latter was to prove he wasn't just messing around. Professor Diaz took the folder and began to read, her focus intense. The university didn't typically encourage freshmen to start businesses. It was too easy to fall behind on foundational coursework. She was worried the student in front of her was just acting on a whim. Cole waited patiently. Nearly half an hour passed. When she finally looked up, he knew she had read it thoroughly. This is a very novel and interesting idea, she said, but it will face enormous challenges in the market. She had initially assumed he wanted to build an e-commerce site, which would have been doomed to fail. That market was already cornered by giants unless you had massive capital to burn. But a user-driven, interactive social media site, that had a chance of survival. Moreover, she was surprised by how well-prepared he was, even bringing the documents for his tea shop. Most freshmen were still just kids. This one was already running a business, and a profitable one at that. From that perspective, he was clearly a focused and serious entrepreneur. Running a media company is very different from a tea shop, she continued. Are you mentally prepared for the risks you might face? I am, Professor Diaz, Cole said, nodding firmly. I will follow my plan carefully and take full responsibility for the outcome. This was not a rash decision. Professor Diaz nodded slightly. The purpose of the Venture Lab is to encourage innovative entrepreneurship. Since you have the drive, then of course we can support you. A jolt of excitement went through Cole. He knew the offices here were nice, in a building with elevators. Rent was free for the first year, half price for the second, and the university even streamlined the business registration process. However, Professor Diaz said, hitting the brakes and making Cole's heart skip a beat. However, your studies will be affected. How do you plan to manage that? Professor Diaz's question was a relief. For a second, he thought she was going to deny his application. I'll attend all my classes, except for emergencies when I might have to request an excused absence, he said without hesitation. I'll also consult with my professors. I will not neglect my foundational first-year courses, I promise you that. Professor Diaz considered this. You know the consequences if your GPA drops. It will affect your academic progress and graduation. You need to have your priorities straight. I will keep your words in mind, Professor Diaz. I promise. Cole was deeply respectful. He had done his research on her. A sincere and proper attitude was the key. Any attempt at being slick would have doomed his chances. And you said your tea shop is staffed entirely by students? The professor's question shifted, and Cole's spirits lifted. He knew he was in the clear. Yes, he answered earnestly. Making money is one reason for the shop, but it's also to provide opportunities for students who want to be self-reliant. And the salary you've listed here, $2,000 a month, you're sure you can honor that? Absolutely. I welcome university officials to visit the shop anytime. Cole knew better than to think Professor Diaz's influence didn't extend that far. She was a former dean, a current professor in the Advanced Information Engineering program, and a member of several university committees. She had plenty of clout. All right, go pick out an office. Once you've chosen one, come back and we'll get the paperwork done. A look of satisfaction had settled in her eyes. The student was well-spoken and mature. Thank you, Professor Diaz, Cole said, bowing his head slightly. He knew the tea shop's success story was what had sealed the deal. A junior named Tanya was assigned to show him the available offices. She was about 5'5", and Cole would give her a 5 out of 10 on looks. Hey, you're the guy who opened the Tea Alchemist, right? Tanya asked as they walked, her eyes wide with surprise. This guy must be loaded, she thought. That's me, Cole said. Well, you'd better give me a discount next time I stop by. No problem, Tanya. They arrived on the 15th floor, where only 2 offices were left. One was about 540 square feet, the other 375. Cole chose the larger one without a second thought. He needed room to grow. It even came with desks, likely left behind by previous student ventures. Rent is free for the first year, then half price for the next 3 years at $5 a square foot, Tanya explained. Plus $1 per square foot for building maintenance. That covers cleaning, but electricity and AC are extra. She looked at the freshman with a sense of wonder. He was just starting out and already launching a real business, while most of his peers were still just dreaming about dating. He was handsome, confident, and mature, the total package. She wondered if he had a girlfriend. Tanya? You okay? Cole waved a hand in front of her face. She'd zoned out. Oh, sorry, just thinking about the paperwork, she said, her face flushing. The terms are fine with me, Cole said. Let's go sign the contract. With the keys in hand, Cole went back to Wyatt's tiny office. Wyatt's jaw dropped when he saw them. He already rented it. Getting an office in the Venture Lab was notoriously difficult. His own application had taken 2 weeks. I'm transferring you $10,000, Cole said. You'll be in charge of purchasing the equipment. Just make sure to keep all the receipts. Once the team is assembled, we'll all meet. With no official finance person yet, Cole was bypassing procedure to save time. He'd formalize everything once the company's bank account was set up. Okay, sure, Mr. Vance. Don't worry, Wyatt stammered. He couldn't bring himself to call him by his first name anymore. Just call me Cole. Mr. Vance is too formal, Cole laughed. Right, Cole. Calling a freshman by his first name in a boss-like context felt just as strange. There's one more thing I need your help with, Cole said, leading Wyatt out onto the balcony for privacy. Of course, Cole. Anything, Wyatt said, realizing it must be a personal matter. It's about face power, Cole said with a conspiratorial smile. There are 3 profiles on there. I need them taken down. They're people I know, and they're not happy about being on the site. Which 3? Wyatt asked, looking pained. Cole was asking him to gut his own site's star power. Don't worry, none of them are vote-getters. Just take down the names. Jasmine Vance from Eastwood Tech, Serena Shun from Eastwood U, and that one with 0 votes. Take them all down. Posting photos without permission isn't cool, you know? Cole's gaze turned serious. Wyatt felt a sudden, inexplicable pressure. He also felt a pang of guilt. It was true. All 3 had been photographed without their consent. No problem, Cole. I'll delete them right now. Losing those profiles wouldn't really impact his site's revenue, which came from the girls who were actively competing for status. They were mostly just there to attract eyeballs. Thanks. Once the team is together, I'll take you all out for a proper meal. Cole smiled, satisfied. Face power might still be useful in the future. It would be a waste not to leverage all those campus beauties somehow. After settling things at the Venture Lab, Cole hurried over to the main gate of Eastwood Tech. Jasmine was bringing him a care package from home. He was lucky it was October, any earlier in the semester, and he'd have been baking in the sun. After a 20-minute wait, he saw her emerge. Her long, dark hair was draped over her shoulders. She wore a white knit top under a black jumper dress with white flats, her long, slender legs moving with an easy grace. For 2010, the look was incredibly chic and turned more than a few heads. Jasmine's normally cool, composed face broke into a radiant smile the moment she saw him. Today, the formidable upperclassman had a soft, sweet air about her that made Cole desperately want to kiss her. Seeing his mesmerized expression, Jasmine shot him a playful glare and wrinkled her perfect nose. Cole swallowed hard. He couldn't take it. He had to have a kiss before he left. He jogged over and took the bags from her hands. You're a lifesaver, Jazz. Let me express my gratitude with a kiss. As he leaned in, A small hand gently pinched his lips together into an O. "Kiss your head," she chided, though her eyes were laughing. "There are people everywhere. So if no one was around, it would be okay," Cole thought with a secret smile, though he put on a wounded expression. He glanced around. It was true. A lot of students were watching them. "What have you been doing? You're all sweaty," she asked, already pulling out a tissue to gently wipe his forehead. "Thinking of you," he said smoothly. "It made me run faster." The thinking part was true. The running part was a lie. It was just a long walk from the venture lab. "You really expect me to believe that?" she huffed. "It's true. It's been so long. I missed you, Jazz." Seeing her feigned annoyance, Cole felt a surge of boldness and wrapped an arm around her slim waist. Wow, the feel of it, so slender yet soft, was incredible. "Let go. Everyone's watching. Have you no shame?" A blush crept up her face as she gave his chest a light tap, but she made no move to remove his hand. She was the best. Cole was ecstatic. He was about to take a stealthy measurement of her waist when a sharp pain shot through his side. "Ow, ow, ow. Easy," he yelped, begging for mercy. But while he pleaded, his hand remained firmly on her waist. He'd rather be pinched to death than let go. To any onlookers, they looked like they were in a mutual embrace. Students nearby stared, dumbfounded. Everyone at Eastwood Tech knew the name of the campus's #1 beauty. Even if they hadn't seen her in person, they'd seen her picture on FacePower. But who was this mystery guy, and what was he doing getting so familiar with her? Instantly, phones came out. A girl furtively typed a message. "OMG, I just saw Jasmine Vance getting super cozy with some guy." A guy was texting his friends. "It's over, boys. She's been claimed." After a moment, seeing that her pinching had no effect on his death grip, Jasmine relented with a sigh. Her face was hot, her waist tingled, and her heart was doing a little flutter kick. Being this public was embarrassing, but other than that, it was nice. "The freshman welcome showcase is in 10 days, she said, tilting her head up to glare at him. "Are you coming to see me dance?" Her red lips were just inches from his, her expression a mix of shyness and mock anger. Cole swallowed hard. "Of course. I wouldn't miss it. You have to get me in early." He knew it wasn't a question, it was a command. "You'd better be there, or else." Sure enough, a satisfied smile graced her lips. "Good. I'll let you know the details." "Got it, Jazz." Cole knew he couldn't just wander onto the Eastwood Tech campus. It was full of labs and had much tighter security than Eastwood U. He'd need her to get him in. "Okay, you should go." "I have to get to the library," Jasmine said, a flicker of reluctance in her eyes. Cole knew she was serious about her studies and planned on going to grad school, so he dropped the idea of asking her to dinner. But there was still one thing left to do. "Jazz, can I? Get one." He puckered his lips. "You're impossible. What are you trying to do?" she shot back, glancing around nervously. "Okay, fine. I'm leaving then," Cole said, his face a mask of disappointment, hurt, and pathetic misery. He laid it on thick. Jasmine rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. Keep acting. You've been pulling that routine since you were 3. "Huh, I have." Cole's act crumbled. It seemed a real kiss was out of the question. He sighed internally, already plotting how to get her to North Lake for a bike ride. Then he heard her say softly, "Make it quick." The words were like a presidential pardon, igniting a surge of positive energy in him. He leaned down and planted a loud smack on her soft left cheek. Mwah. So soft, so fragrant, so delightful. He had to even it out on the right side. Jasmine's face was beet red, but she didn't stop him. As he leaned in to kiss her right cheek, she turned slightly and gave him a quick peck back. Overcome with emotion, Cole moved to capture her pouting lips, but a warm hand immediately covered his mouth. "You little devil. Are you trying to get us expelled? What is wrong with you? In front of all these people." Cole sighed in deep regret. So close, yet so far. "I'm going now," she mumbled against her hand. "Go on. Watch for cars." "I will, Jazz." He walked a good 50 yards away before turning back. She was still standing there, watching him. His heart melted. He puckered his lips and blew her a dramatic kiss. She pretended to swat it away before finally turning and heading back onto campus. 20 minutes later, Cole arrived back at his dorm, famished, carrying a large bag. Inside was a big jar of spicy cured fish and some pickled radishes, hometown favorites that he could tell from a mile away were his sister's handiwork. The dried fish, coated in fermented black beans and chili, looked incredibly flavorful. It was also incredibly salty and spicy, an acquired taste. He popped a piece in his mouth, the heat making him gasp with pleasure. He rolled the fish and its bones around in his mouth, a special skill that let him separate the meat without getting pricked. With a crunch, he pulverized the bones and swallowed them down. Footsteps announced the return of his 3 roommates. "Whoa, what is that?" "It smells amazing," Frank said, leaning in for a sniff. He wanted to try some, but the sight of the bright red chilies made him hesitate. It's not that spicy. Try it, Cole offered. Frank looked at Cole's flushed lips, swallowed hard, and took 3 steps back. They had all witnessed Cole's tolerance for spice. They weren't on the same level. Preston and Javi didn't even need to be told. They'd perked up at the smell, but deflated at the sight of the chilies. Cole, you're the only one from around here, Preston whined. Next time, can you ask your mom to make a non-spicy version? Sure, I'll bring you guys some next holiday, Cole promised. He had no idea how his sister would even cook without chilies. He'd probably just have to buy something from the store and put it in a jar. After eating a few more pieces, Cole sent a message to Serena. Cole, my mom made some of her famous cured fish. Want some? 10 minutes later, she replied. Serena, yes, I want some. I love that stuff. Did your aunt mail it to you? Cole, my sister brought it. Serena, oh, you're really pretty, sister. Cole, speaking of pretty, it makes me think of someone. Serena, who? Cole, the girl I sat with by North Lake, watching the stars. She was so pretty. Her feet were pretty. Everything about her was pretty. Serena, smiling face with smiling eyes, you're terrible. Don't you dare do that again next time. Cole grinned. What are you talking about? Describe it to me, or I won't know what not to do. Serena, you know what? Smiling face with smiling eyes, I'm ignoring you now. Hurry up and bring me the food. I'm hungry. Cole, on my way. Don't move. 20 minutes later, he met her downstairs from the law school's all-female dorm. She was wearing a denim jumper over a white t-shirt with a cartoon print. It was a funny coincidence. Her outfit was similar to Jasmine's, just a different style. Jasmine was chic with a hint of sweetness. Serena was pure, unadulterated sweetness. She ran toward him, her face alight with a happy glow. I could smell it from here. Cole handed her the bag. She opened it and her eyes lit up. Wow, pickled radishes too. These are my favorites. Anything else that's your favorite? Cole asked with a sly grin. Serena tilted her head, a playful, proud look on her face. I'm not telling you. If you knew, you'd get an even bigger head. She hadn't said it, but she'd said it. This girl was a natural-born flirt. Cole's heart did a little flip. They chatted for a few minutes. Serena's schedule was packed with classes, and she was busy making up for the time she'd taken off. She wouldn't be able to hang out with him for a while. Cole understood. Law was a demanding major. Not like him, the master of skipping class. To show her regret, Serena shyly gave him 3 quick pecks on the cheek. They smelled faintly of milk. A pity, he thought with a sigh. He hadn't gotten a taste of her rose-scented soap this time. After Serena had disappeared into her building, turning back to wave 3 times, Cole headed back to his dorm. He had one more delivery to make. He didn't know if his trusted lieutenant would like the food, but the gesture was what counted. Given what he knew of the girl's love for spicy things, though, he had a feeling she would. He trudged back to his room, grabbed the last jar of fish and radishes, and headed for the tea alchemist. It was already 6 in the evening. She would probably be there by now. He'd been walking all day. Luckily, he was young. His old body would have collapsed hours ago. When he arrived, she was indeed there, busy behind the counter. The tables were nearly full, with a line of 6 or 7 customers waiting to order. When he was off today, a much-needed break after working straight through the holiday week. Brianna was covering the day shift, and Luna had come in after her 2 classes. I should hire another person or 2, Cole thought as he walked in. I need to build up staff for the new store. The moment Luna saw him, her clear, calm eyes lit up, and her entire expression came alive. Even her movements seemed to become lighter. Cole went behind the counter, stashed the jar underneath, and leaned in close to her. My mom made this, he whispered. It's pretty spicy. I brought some for you to try. A warmth flickered in Luna's eyes. She glanced at him quickly before turning back to the drink she was making. She kept her gaze lowered to hide the heat rising in her chest. Will you have enough to eat? She asked softly. The words my mom made this and brought some for you echoed in her heart like a drumbeat. Don't worry, I saved some for myself, Cole said as he started checking the order tickets to help out. It was a lie. He hadn't saved any. He could eat it any time he went home, and the few pieces he'd snacked on earlier had been enough. Luna looked up at him, the corners of her lips turning up in a gentle smile. Okay. The bananas she was cutting went into the blender, its motor whirring to life, buzzing with the same energy as her heart. Every so often, she would steal a glance at Cole's profile as he cheerfully asked the customer how much sugar they wanted. Luna, which box has the matcha pearls? Megan's voice called from the storeroom, breaking Luna's reverie. The shelf facing the door, top level on the left, she called back. Her voice was pure and girlish, soft but with a surprising strength, a clear, crisp sound that wasn't at all cutesy. The sound drew the attention of several customers, and she ducked down, pretending to look for something to hide her embarrassment. The customer flow wasn't as crazy as it had been during the holiday, so Cole had more time to slack off. He found himself studying Luna's clothes and decided he would take her shopping that weekend. It was getting colder, and in Rockford, the temperature dropped sharply after 9 p.m. A single long-sleeved shirt wouldn't be enough. If he didn't take her, he knew she'd try to save money and tough it out until she was freezing. He couldn't let his best soldier get cold. That night, after closing up and counting the cash, Cole straddled the e-scooter and gestured for Luna to get on. Though she was expecting it, her cheeks still grew warm. She placed a hand lightly on his shoulder and settled onto the seat behind him, wedged between him and the storage box. "Hold on tight," Cole said. The campus paths were crowded, and he was worried a sudden stop might make her fall off. "Okay," Luna murmured, her voice low. She reached out and gripped the hem of his shirt. The scooter weaved through the bustling crowd of students. The seat was a little cramped, and with Cole's legs spread wide, their knees kept bumping. Each touch sent a strange jolt through Luna, making her feel shy and flustered. The slightly slanted seat made her slide forward. Brianna always just pressed right up against him, and Luna knew what that solid contact felt like. She kept trying to discreetly shift her weight back. It would be so embarrassing to be pressed up against him like that, but a secret part of her kind of wanted to. The broad back in front of her smelled faintly of sweat, a slightly sour but strangely pleasant and reassuring scent. Her hands, which had started by pinching a tiny bit of fabric, had unconsciously grabbed a whole handful, her small fist now resting naturally against his waist. Not many people rode e-scooters on campus. Most had bikes. Cole skillfully navigated around the students, driving steadily toward the accounting major's dorm. The trip was over far too quickly. Luna got off the scooter with a sense of loss. It was strange. The ride never seemed this short when she was with Brianna. "I'm heading back," Cole said, locking the scooter and handing her the key. "Okay," Luna nodded. The dim yellow streetlight obscured the reluctance in her eyes. Maybe she should just start walking again, she thought. Just as she always did, she stood on the sixth-floor balcony, her eyes following his retreating figure until it disappeared from view. 2 days later, Wyatt called. The team was assembled. Cole hurried to room 1520 in the Venture Lab building. Inside, 4 new computers were set up. Besides Wyatt, there were 3 other people. The girl was the same one who had been with Wyatt before, Jenna. There was a guy with glasses named Leo, and another slightly chubby, round-faced guy named Marcus. Cole shook each of their hands with a wide smile. After introductions, they sat down for their first official startup meeting. The 2 new guys looked at him with surprise. This person didn't seem like a freshman at all. If they didn't know better, they'd have thought he was a seasoned professional. "Our company is just starting out, so we can't compare to the big tech firms," Cole began. "But I don't deal in bullshit. Your base salary will be $5,000 a month, standard for a new hire in the industry, with bonuses on top of that. As project lead, Wyatt gets an extra $1,000. I'll work on adding other benefits as we go. But I can promise you this. You will never be undercompensated for your work. I only have one requirement. Build me the product I envision. It doesn't have to be perfect in one go, but we must stick to that core concept." Cole had no intention of talking tech with a room full of experts. That would just make him look foolish. He focused on what he could control: compensation and vision. He didn't want to talk about corporate culture, either. That was for successful companies. His speech made all 4 of them widen their eyes in surprise and delight. As far as they knew, a post-graduation job at a big company in a major tech hub would start at around $5,000 a month, and that was with a degree. They were still juniors, still learning, and they were already being offered that kind of salary. It was a fantastic and unexpected offer. For a junior in college, $5,000 a month was a huge income, not to mention bonuses. "Don't worry, Mr. Vance," Wyatt said excitedly. "I've already held a preliminary meeting and clarified our main objective. We'll give you a satisfactory result as quickly as possible." It wasn't just the $6,000 salary that thrilled him. It was that Cole had officially recognized him as the leader. If the company took off, his position as an executive was practically guaranteed. "Just do your best. Haste makes waste," Cole said with a smile. "Make sure you all get some rest, too. Let me know immediately if you need anything. My job is to get you the money." "Oh, Cole," Wyatt said, quickly grabbing a folder from the desk. "Here are the receipts for the computers. We built them ourselves, so the invoices are for individual parts." "Great. I don't care what you use," Cole said, taking the folder without opening it. "Like I said, I handle the money, you handle the results." He then added, "I'm transferring another $10,000. Let me know if it's not enough. Thank you for your trust. We will actually need to spend more," Wyatt said, nervously watching Cole's expression for any sign of displeasure. "I don't want to use cloud services. I want to buy our own hardware servers, which will be a major expense. No problem. You make the call, Cole said with a dismissive wave, not a hint of concern on his face. Wyatt was about to say more when Cole's phone rang. He stopped himself. Cole glanced at the screen. It was Luna's number. She never called unless it was an emergency. Excuse me, I have to take this, Cole said, standing up and walking out to the balcony. It wasn't Luna on the line. It was Brianna's frantic voice. Cole, you have to get here now. Someone's trashing the shop. They're saying there was a bug in our milk tea. He could hear shouting in the background, including Luna yelling something in her fierce hometown dialect. Just make sure you guys are safe. I'm on my way, Cole yelled into the phone. He rushed back into the office. Something's come up. I have to go, he said hurriedly to the team and sprinted for the elevator. Wyatt and the others exchanged confused glances. What was that about? Let's go see. Jenna, you stay here, Wyatt decided instantly. When they got to the hallway, the elevator was still stuck on the 5th floor. Cole was gone. He must have taken the stairs. Wyatt and the other 2 guys immediately gave chase, hoping they could help. Downstairs, they saw Cole's back as he sprinted away. The 3 programmers, long out of practice, tried to keep up, but they were soon panting, the distance between them and Cole growing ever wider. Wyatt guessed the trouble was at the tea alchemist, so he wasn't worried about losing him. Students along the path stared at the frantic figure, wondering what was going on. Was he chasing after a girlfriend? By the time Cole, gasping for breath, reached the shop, a chaotic scene greeted him. A crowd of students had gathered, watching as 3 men with buzz cuts stood in the doorway, shouting. So now you think you're in the right? If you don't make this right today, you can forget about staying open. Go on, I dare you. Stab me. Everyone's a witness. This girl is armed and dangerous. On the ground lay a scattering of items from the counter and a puddle of spilled milk tea. Cole pushed through the onlookers and immediately saw Luna, standing her ground just inside the door, holding a fruit knife high. Brianna was behind her, brandishing a chair and yelling, while Wendy clutched her forehead. Luna was spitting furious words in a dialect Cole only half understood, but the meaning was clear. You dare come in here, I'll kill you. The normally gentle girl was a vision of icy fury. The moment she saw Cole, her eyes filled with tears of relief and indignation. Her lips trembled, but she forced herself to keep glaring at the 3 men. Cole's eyes swept over the overturned table. He walked to Luna's side and gently took her hand, which was gripping the knife so tightly her knuckles were white. Here, he said softly, give me the knife. It's okay. I'm here now. Her tense fingers relaxed. Cole took the knife and set on the counter. He then took both of her hands in his. Let me see. Are you hurt? At his warm words, Luna's composure finally broke. The tears she'd been holding back streamed down her face. They planted the bug themselves, she sobbed. There are never bugs in our tea. I know. It's okay, go inside and wait, Cole said, turning her by her stubborn shoulders. I've got this. You and Brianna go check on Wendy's head. Okay, be careful, Luna choked out, looking at him with worried eyes. I will. Don't worry. Cole then turned to Wendy. Wendy, go sit down inside. Brianna, you and Luna take a look at her head. Campus police will be here any minute. Brianna and Luna helped Wendy to a table further inside the shop. The 3 men outside were still yelling. So you're the damn owner? Huh? There was a bug in our drink. What are you going to do about it? A disgusting place like this should be shut down. From their accents, Cole could tell they were locals, their voices grating and loud. He suppressed his rage and walked calmly to the doorway. You're the ones who trashed the place, and you're the ones who hurt my employee. So what if we did? One of the men, who looked to be in his 30s, sneered. The other 2 chimed in. You want us to trash you too? And I'm telling you, if you don't sort this out, you're not staying in business. Their expressions were vicious, but faced with Cole's 6-foot frame, they didn't dare get physical. Whether there was a bug in the tea or not, I will provide evidence to the police, Cole said, his voice dangerously calm. If there was, I'll compensate you accordingly. If there wasn't, you will face the consequences for your actions. He knew this had to be a setup. In an era before viral videos, this was how you cause trouble. That's hilarious. You think I'm scared of you calling the cops when your drink is full of bugs? If you don't call them, I will, the 30-year-old scoffed. Then we'll wait for the police. But let me remind you, this is university property, and we are students at Eastwood University. Cole knew these kinds of lowlifes were familiar with the police and probably had their story straight. But this was Eastwood's turf. So what if you're students? You think I'm scared of some college kids? Does being a student give you the right to sell drinks with bugs in them? The man was still glaring, but his gaze started to flicker. A few minutes later, a patrol car pulled up. It was from the local precinct. Cole had called them on his way over, identifying himself as a student. What's the situation? Who called it in? Officer Miller scanned the messy shop, his eyes lingering on the three men and then on Cole. Officer, I did, Cole said, raising his hand. As a veteran cop, Miller knew exactly what he was looking at. He was familiar with all the local troublemakers. But knowing and proving were two different things. It all came down to who had the better evidence. The three men immediately started loudly recounting their disgusting ordeal and the shop's refusal to compensate them. One at a time. You first, Miller said, pointing at Cole while another officer started taking notes. Officer, I am certain there are no bugs in our tea. It's highly likely they planted it themselves to extort us. I have proof, Cole said, gesturing to the back of the shop. Follow me. Miller followed him, intrigued. When he saw the metal security system cabinet, he understood. He hadn't even noticed if the small shop had cameras. In this day and age, it was rare for a place like this to have a surveillance system. He was silently impressed. Cole was well prepared. Cole removed a USB drive, which stored the last 3 days of footage, and handed it to the officer. Miller nodded, his mind already made up. Someone will need to come down to the station to give a formal statement. He looked around. There were 2 cameras inside. When he stepped out, he looked up and saw another one mounted outside. That equipment was still expensive. The kid had spared no expense. He turned to the 3 men, who were still loudly proclaiming their victimhood to the crowd. You 3, you're all coming down to the station to talk. They exchanged a look. Fine by us. The police can get us justice. Just then, Cole spotted Wyatt and the other 2 guys, panting and out of breath. Perfect timing. He waved them over. Wyatt, can you do me a favor and take my employee to the student clinic to get her head checked out? He needed an official medical report before he could file for an injury assessment. Of course, Cole, Wyatt said immediately. Cole then waved to Wendy. Wendy, go with them to the clinic. Don't worry about the cost. He turned to the other 2 girls. Luna, Brianna, start taking inventory of the damages. And any customers whose orders got delayed, their drinks are on the house. Okay, Luna said, her eyes red as she watched him with deep concern. By then, the other officer had finished taking photos of the scene. After taking down everyone's ID information, Cole went with the police back to the station. There wasn't enough room in the car, so one of the officers had to ride the shop's e-scooter. At the station, Cole recounted the event for the official report. At first, the 3 thugs were full of righteous indignation, playing the part of wronged customers perfectly. But when Officer Miller sat them down in front of a computer to watch the security footage, their faces turned ashen, and they fell silent. The video was clear. One of the men was seen removing the straw from his cup, dropping something into the opening, and pushing it down with his finger before reinserting the straw. Then the commotion began. The interior camera showed the same man throwing a plastic menu holder, which hit Wendy on the forehead. Do you have anything else to say? Officer Miller asked, his voice cold. He knew these types. They were slippery, used to a few days in holding as a cost of doing business. But this time, it was instigating a public disturbance and extortion with fabricated evidence. The 30-year-old ringleader looked panicked. This was supposed to be an easy gig, a quick way to make a buck. He never imagined there would be cameras. He and his friends were bottom-rung hustlers. The real tough guys wouldn't bother with this kind of work. The plan was just to cause a scene and scare the shop into closing. They weren't prepared for this. The 3 of them exchanged a look and immediately began apologizing profusely to Cole, claiming they had been drunk and weren't thinking straight. Miller watched them coolly. If the victim wanted to settle, the police would have to proceed based on that. Cole's face was calm, but he was laughing on the inside. As far as he was concerned, their greatest crime was hurting Wendy and terrifying Luna and Brianna. This incident needed to be escalated. It needed to get the attention of the university, and he was going to make sure whoever was behind this paid dearly. Cole smiled at Officer Miller. Officer, could I have a word with him? Sure. Be smart about it, Miller advised. A clear warning not to be fooled. In the mediation room, the 3 men's arrogant demeanor had vanished, replaced by fawning humility. They offered one pathetic excuse after another. If convicted on all charges, they were looking at 6 months minimum. Cole could tell from their desperation that they had no one to bail them out. They must have thought a new, non-chain tea shop would be an easy target. Tell me who hired you, Cole said flatly. You report them to the police, cooperate fully, and then you apologize and pay compensation to my employees. Only then will I consider a letter of understanding, which might reduce your sentence. Even with his forgiveness, they wouldn't walk away scot-free. You've got it all wrong. It was our own stupid idea. Nobody put us up to it, the ringleader said, his face a mask of remorse. Cole sneered. Let me be direct. I'm going to report this incident to the dean's office and the university board. A student-run business, extorted and assaulted by locals. You've seen how dead this area is for troublemakers. What gave you the confidence to try something here? The men's faces darkened, and they exchanged nervous glances. I'm guessing they paid you, what, $50 each? 100 max. Cole pressed on. Is protecting your boss more important than getting made an example of? If you turn them in and make a sincere apology to my staff, and they accept it, I will consider dropping the financial damages. That's the only way your sentence gets reduced. You can ask the officer yourself what Eastwood's policy is on harassing its students. Eastwood was a top-tier university with powerful connections. No small-time crook would dare mess with it. The men's faces were flushed, but they remained silent. The ringleader finally spoke, his voice low and threatening. Your employee threatened us with a knife. That's a crime, too. If we press that, she's not walking away clean either. Cole had been expecting this. He laughed. She's from rural West Virginia. You threatened her, and she defended herself. Where she's from, that's normal. To be honest, you're lucky you're not dead. I already mentioned it to the officers. Go ahead and ask them. The room fell silent. The men's faces a mixture of anger and fear. Cole delivered the final blow. You're in the game. You take the fall. Your only option now is to minimize the damage. I'm giving you 1 minute. Then I'm walking. A minute later, Cole stood up to leave. Wait, the ringleader called out. Are you sure you'll write the letter of understanding if we do what you say? I'm sure, Cole said, turning to look them dead in the eye. Keeping these 3 locked up did nothing for him. He wanted the person who hired them. Fine. We got played. We'll talk. Good, Cole said with a cold smile. You're not important to me, but you still have to get my employees to forgive you. Money was one thing. People were another. When Officer Miller returned, he received 3 full confessions. To Cole's surprise, the mastermind wasn't one of the rival tea shops. It was the owner of a beef noodle stand in the food court near Eastwood Tech. The rest was out of Cole's hands. The 3 men were taken to a holding cell, and Miller left with another officer to go invite the beef noodle proprietor for a chat. Cole rode the e-scooter back to the Tea Alchemist. When Luna saw he was okay, a wave of relief washed over her. When he was also back from the clinic, a lump on her forehead. Wyatt and his 2 friends were sitting at a table, sipping milk tea. The shop was mostly back to normal. Wyatt, thanks for your help. You guys can head back, Cole said. No problem. Call us if you need anything. Cole checked on Wendy's injury. Luckily, the skin wasn't broken. Wendy, take a few days off with pay. And there's a $500 bonus for all 3 of you. Wendy, you get an extra $50 for your trouble. It's okay, boss. It just hurts a little, Wendy said, touched. You're such a great guy. Great guy? Why was she insulting him? Cole gave her a long look, half tempted to rescind her bonus. Wendy shivered, suddenly feeling a chill in the air. Brianna was grinning from ear to ear. $500. She was rich. Luna, come here a second, Cole said when there was a lull in customers. He gestured for her to follow him into the storeroom. He didn't turn on the light. The dimness was perfect for a private conversation. Luna walked in, her hands folded in front of her, her eyes shining in the dark. Even in the shadows, her gentle beauty was undeniable. Thinking of how she had fearlessly faced down those 3 thugs, Cole's heart filled with warmth and a fierce protectiveness. He reached out and gently stroked her hair. If something like this ever happens again, he said softly, just protect yourself. Let them break things. None of that is important. Your safety is what's important. Understand? His gentle touch on her head and his concerned words were too much. Her composure crumbled again. Her lips trembled and tears streamed from her eyes. I just wanted to protect your shop, she choked out, her voice thick with tears. The words hit Cole like a punch to the gut.